Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Wuhun, Awakening Double Martial Spirit, but the system ran away. Chapter 1. The class bell rang, and in the classroom of Class 3, Grade 3, the head teacher Tang Yanran came over with a handout. Classmates, 3 years have passed before you know it. It's time for you to divide into classes. This afternoon, students from each class went to the auditorium to participate in the martial arts awakening ceremony. As a class teacher, what I want to say is that no matter the success or failure of the awakening ceremony, everyone should face it with a normal mind. The successful awakening of martial arts is naturally a good thing. Don't be discouraged if the awakening fails. You can also continue to study in liberal arts and martial arts. After the awakening ceremony is over, the school will start reclassifying the classes next week based on the awakening results. The class teacher Tang Yanran talked a lot, but a classmate below was very confused. Where am I? Who am I? What is the Wuhun awakening ceremony, the Duluo continent of double standard dog? At this moment, he heard a ding sound in his mind. The system was coming, and the day for takeoff had arrived. Ding, Wuhun sign in system is at your service. System failure, fault warning, start repair. Lin Yu's heart is like a roller coaster. It's a good thing to have a system, but what about system failures? Ding, the repair failed, the system will start recalling in 1 minute. Host, listen up. I'll make a long story short. The system and you were hit by a high-speed moving meteorite in the void turbulence during the journey, and the system is about to be recalled. In order to compensate the host, I saw that a colleague at Tongzi Academy arranged a reasonable martial spirit for his host, so I will copy a set for you. Because the system energy is insufficient, the age of the copied spirit ring may be a bit off. But it doesn't matter, there is still a gift package for you as a novice. Part of the main body of the system has been damaged, so the system storage space and character panel are left to you. The time is up. I'm leaving, and I wish the host a bright future. After the system finished speaking, there was no sound, and there was no response no matter how Lin Yu shouted in his heart. Open the system panel. A virtual panel appeared in front of Lin Yu. On the left side of the panel was his current appearance. This young man was really handsome, no less handsome than Yanzu and Yu Yan. On the right side were his attributes. Name, Lin Yu. Age, 18. Soul power, level 10. Martial spirit, scepter of life, god-killing spear. Then he discovered that there was a Wuhun page under the panel, so he clicked in and took a look. Wuhun life scepter. Comes with its own healing skills. Then there were 10 soul rings around the scepter of life, 10 white soul rings. Only one was bright, and the other 9 were locked with small locks. Lin Yu clicked on the first soul ring, the 10-year dragon tendon grass soul ring, soul skill, all things grow. Growth of all things, it can make plants grow by express delivery. The actual effect is affected by the age of the soul ring and the strength of the user. It is really a white soul ring. This soul ring is useless. Looking at the 9 white soul rings below, I suddenly have a bad feeling. Then I click on the second soul ring, which shows that it requires level 20. He looked at the second martial spirit without giving up, the god-killing spear, and was speechless. Your god-killing spear is Barrett. The god-killing spear has its own skill, firearms shooting. This god-killing gun also has 10 soul rings. He clicked on the first soul ring without giving up, the 10-year Sky Peregrine Falcon soul ring, soul skill, precision shooting, passive skill, hitting a target at a certain distance. The shooting range is affected by the age of the soul ring. The range increases by 1 meter after 1 year of soul ring age. The damage power of the bullet is affected by the user's strength. A 10-year soul ring, 10 meters, even a child's slingshot can shoot farther than this thing. Speechless, Tang Yanran on the podium looked over immediately. Classmate Lin Yu, what questions do you have? Lin Yu looked at the beautiful female teacher with a metal prosthesis on her right arm on the podium, staring directly at him. Could it be that the owner of this body is also named Lin Yu? Lin Yu stood up and shook his head. Teacher, I'm fine. Sit down if you have nothing to do. Don't look around when I'm talking, and don't make impolite sounds. If you have any questions, you can go back to my office to find me. After Lin Yu sat down, he looked at Tang Yanran talking about something he couldn't understand. He was confused again. He had traveled through time, and you might as well have some memories of his previous life. Forget it. Let's study his own system panel. Lin Yu opened the inventory, and there were several things in it, including a golden ball of light, a bottle of potion, and 7 soul bones. The golden ball of light showed the martial arts memory of a certain strong man. The potion system came with a standard gene potion. What was left was 6 natal soul bones and an external soul bone called the Wings of Life. As expected, the soul bones are 10 years old. In the new year, are you going to be useless? There is also an equipment column above the inventory. The equipment column has 7 spaces, 6 of which are for the limbs, head and body, and the other one is on one side. At this time, Tang Yanren continued on the podium, okay. It is estimated that the awakening ceremony of Class 1 and Class 2 is almost over, let's set off too. After Tang Yanren finished speaking, she took the handouts and left the classroom. Others also left the classroom one after another. At this time, a wretched little fat man came over. Is there always a fat teammate beside the protagonist? Hey, brother, were you dissatisfied with Teacher Tang just now? Lin Yu looked at the little fat man beside him and couldn't help but ask, brother, who are you? Good boy, you won't break your head and make yourself stupid at noon. Forget it, fat brother doesn't have the same experience as you. After finishing speaking, the little fat man left Lin Yu and went to talk to others. Lin Yu went directly to the back of the team. When Lin Yu came to the auditorium, he heard exclamations from the crowd, and then someone shouted, Lin Moxu. Wuhun Ice Phoenix. She didn't know who Lin Moxu was. She probably wasn't from their class. After all, people from their class had just arrived. Lin Yu looked over and saw a strange machine in the middle of the auditorium. A cool girl with silver hair was standing there. A blue bird with waving wings appeared on her right hand. The girl was very beautiful, but showed a repulsive look. Lin Yu knew at a glance that this girl was a difficult person to get along with. A middle-aged teacher beside the machine said, Lin Moxu, test your soul power. Lin Moxu put her hand on the crystal ball on the other side of the machine. A row of lights on the machine lit up, stopping at the 10th light. There was a sudden commotion among the crowd. Dear me, Lin Moxu is actually gifted with full soul power. Yes, I'm so envious. Why are you envious? If you were as rich and powerful as her family and had been practicing kung fu since childhood, you would also be able to reach her height. Is it difficult to be born with full soul power? Is my 10th level martial soul also born with full soul power? The middle-aged male teacher shouted, Lin Moxu is born with full soul power. In the spectator seats at the side of the auditorium, an old man with white hair raised his hands to a middle-aged man beside him and said, Congratulations, Master Lin. The middle-aged man couldn't hide the smile on his face and bowed his hand to the old man beside him. You're welcome, Principal Wu. Lin Yu learned from the people around him that the Lin family is the largest family in Jinling City. Although it is said that all roads lead to Rome, some people were born in Rome. After Lin Moxu stepped off the podium, other students also walked up one after another. Xiao Yan, Martial Soul Qinglian Earth Heart Fire, Innate Soul Power Level 3. Han Li, the Martial Soul Palm Heaven Vase, has 2 levels of innate soul power. Zhang Wei, Wuhun Blue Silver Grass, no soul power, failed to awaken. Shi Hao, Martial Soul Milk Bottle, innate soul power level 7. Qi Yu, Martial Soul Black Dog, has no soul power, and failed to awaken. Yi Yinju, Wuhun Tianmoken, has no soul power and failed to awaken. Lin Xiaotao, Wuhun Coiling Dragon Spear, innate soul power level 9. Well done, monitor. Only then did Lin Yu realize that this Lin Xiaotao was the monitor of his class. He looked at it for a while and found that except for Lin Moxu who had full innate soul power just now, only Lin Xiaotao had level 9 innate soul power. It seemed that level 9 was already very impressive. Lin Xiaotao, your surname is also Lin, are you willing to join our Lin family? Our Lin family will cover all college expenses from now on. At this time, Lin Yadong, the head of the Lin family, suddenly spoke, causing everyone present to fall into silence. They all looked at the baby-faced girl on the field. Lin Xiaotao said without being humble or arrogant, I appreciate the kindness of the Lin family. That's a shame. After Lin Yadong finished speaking, he said something to the people on the side. After Lin Xiaotao came off the stage, she came to Tang Yanran, and Tang Yanran touched her head with her left hand. At this time, the little fat man who had just greeted Lin Yu walked up and started testing. Yang Dabao, a gluttonous martial soul beast, has innate soul power level 7. The little fat man's original name was Yang Dabao, and he had innate 7th level soul power. He was already quite talented, but that greedy beast looked like a wild boar. Lin Yu, it's your turn. Why are you so dazed? When Lin Yu heard Tang Yanran's voice, he walked up, stood in the machine and started testing. Classmate, don't be nervous, extend your right hand. I saw a green staff appearing in Lin Yu's hand, like a tree entwined with vines, with a few small leaves on it. The machine on the side showed it as the staff of life. Hey, classmate, it's an auxiliary martial spirit, the life scepter. This auxiliary martial spirit is rare, try your soul power. Lin Yu put his right hand on the crystal ball on the other side of the machine, and then the light on the side also turned on. Lin Yu, the martial soul life scepter has innate soul power. The teacher on the side shouted out again, and the crowd became restless again. Lin Yu, a child from the slums, would not have the naturally superior conditions of Lin Moxu. To some extent, Lin Yu may be more talented than Lin Moxu. Still high. This time Lin Yadong stood up directly. Little brother, you and I have the same surname, are you willing to join my Lin family? Our Lin family will pay all your future college tuition fees, and in addition, we can prepare a suitable first soul ring for you. Lin Yu didn't even figure out his own situation, so you came to recruit me. If he knew that my soul rings are all white, he probably wouldn't think so. He has to figure out his identity no matter what. Besides, nothing is free in the world. Lunch. I appreciate the kindness of Master Lin. I am still used to freedom. That's a shame. After the martial arts ceremony, Lin Yu returned to his classroom, and Tang Yanran also walked in. The martial soul awakening ceremony is over. Don't be discouraged if the awakening fails. The successful awakening of the martial soul means that you have to fight outside the city. Injury and death cannot be avoided in battle. Teacher, my right hand was bitten by a 6th level wind demon wolf. If my teammates hadn't saved me in time, I wouldn't be able to stand here and teach you. The next 2 days are weekends and everyone needs to adjust their mentality at home. Next Monday we will be divided into classes again. I may not be your class teacher. Anyway, we have been getting along for 4 years. 4 years ago when I came to our Jinling College, the school entrusted me with the important task of being your class teacher. After 4 years, you have also given me a life that I have never had on the battlefield. Let me say the last thing, I wish you all a bright future. Class is over. The students packed their school bags one by one, then greeted Tang Yanran and left the classroom. Goodbye, Teacher Tang. Goodbye. The last person to leave was Lin Xiaotao. Lin Xiaotao was Tang Yanran's favorite student, so naturally he talked to her a few more words. After Lin Xiaotao left, Tang Yanran was about to leave as well, but suddenly out of the corner of his eye, he noticed that there was another student in the classroom. Lin Yu, what do you want to do if you don't go home? Lin Yu scratched his head. Teacher Tang, I fell down today and found that I have forgotten many things. I don't even know where my home is. Tang Yanran knew that Lin Yu had a wrestling match today. Lin Yu was walking downstairs in a hurry and hit the back of his head on the stairs. He fell into a coma at that time. Later, he called the school doctor to treat him. Tang Yanran slapped her forehead. She thought she was a proud man, but ended up with amnesia. Now she is in big trouble. You and I can go to the school nurse and take a look again. Lin Yu had no choice but to carry his school bag and follow Tang Yanran out. The two came to the school infirmary. Lin Yu looked around and saw that the so-called infirmary didn't even have a pharmacy. Instead, there was an old man sitting there reading a newspaper. Director Ding, Lin Yu from our class fell down at noon and can't remember anything. Can you tell us what's going on? The old man named Director Ding put away the newspaper, glanced at Lin Yu, and then at Tang Yanran. Mr. Tang, you think too highly of me. Lin Yu's condition is intermittent amnesia, which already belongs to spiritual and soul knowledge. I can only treat bruises. How can I understand this problem? Tang Yanran was anxious. What should we do? Director Ding, can you think of a way? The old man shook his head. there is no way, unless there is a 9th level or above Soul Master Saint who specializes in this field, or let him recover on his own, maybe one day he will suddenly be cured. Tang Yanran had no choice but to take Lin Yu out of the infirmary, back to her office, and then asked Lin Yu to sit down. You sit down for a while first, and I'll call your family and ask them to pick you up, so that you don't run around and get lost again. Tang Yanran went to make a phone call, and Lin Yu discovered that this office was an inner and outer closet, which was both an office and an apartment. The outside was an office, and the inside was her own resting place. After Tang Yanran made the call, she poured Lin Yu a glass of boiling water, and then asked Lin Yu a few simple questions, but she didn't know anything about them. Tang Yanran saw Lin Yu staring at her right hand. Why are you so curious about my arm? Lin Yu asked with some confusion. Teacher Tang, I don't understand. Since there are soul healers, can't anyone be able to regenerate a broken arm? Tang Yanran thought for a while and said, maybe there is, but I haven't heard of it yet. Generally speaking, it is difficult for soul masters with auxiliary spirits to upgrade. Such soul masters rarely have active attack skills. In the wild, they lack the ability to protect themselves. They generally need a fixed team. It is best for an excellent auxiliary soul master to be paired with several teammates of equal strength and talent. In the next 3 months, you will transform into soul masters to fight. If you go out of the city for trials, I suggest you form a team with Lin Xiaotao and Lin Moxu. Quote. Lin Yu said with a smile, let's talk about it. They may not be willing to team up with a fool like me who knows nothing about anything, but when I become stronger one day, I may be able to cure the teacher's hand. Tang Yanran was happy. Okay. Teacher has been waiting for this day. More than half an hour later, a woman exuding a mature aura knocked on the door and walked into Tang Yanran's office. She saw Lin Yu speak. Xiao Yu, what did you do? Lin Yu opened his mouth with Wang's awe. Sister, who are you? Chen Jing was confused at this time and looked at Tang Yanran opposite. Tang Yanran didn't explain clearly on the phone just now, but just asked her to come over. Aunt Lin Yu, please sit down. This is what happened. Tang Yanran told everything that happened today. Chen Jing was also very happy when she heard that Lin Yu's martial soul was full of innate soul power, but she also had a headache when she heard that he had lost his memory after a fall and could not be treated. Lin Yu saw that the beautiful and mature woman in front of him turned out to be his aunt. Why didn't his parents come? Okay, Teacher Tang, I'll trouble you. I'll take Lin Yu back. Well, you might as well prepare a suitable first soul ring for him in the next 2 days. Lin Yu has a very good talent. It would be a pity if it was wasted. Chen Jing nodded. Okay. Xiao Yu, let's go home. Lin Yu nodded mechanically, and the two left Tang Yanran's office. Chen Jing pushed out a small electric donkey from the carport, and then asked Lin Yu to sit down. Lin Yu was sitting behind the small electric donkey and found that his hands had no ground to rest. At this time, Chen Jing spoke. Sit tight, we are going back. Lin Yu tried his best to remember the road he walked and the buildings beside him. The car was parked downstairs in an old community. Chen Jing locked the e-donkey and took the battery to go upstairs. Lin Yu took the initiative to take the battery from her hand. Chen Jingshi looked at him in surprise, then stopped talking and silently walked up the stairs. The floor was not high. When they reached the 3rd floor, Chen Jing took out the key and opened the door of her house. The two of them walked in. The house was crowded but very clean. A young and beautiful girl walked out of the room and glanced at Lin Yu with contempt. What kind of trouble did you get into today and you have to be called a parent? Chen Jing on the side spoke. Lin Yu, this is your sister Chen Wenwen. She is in the 3rd grade of junior high school this year. Wenwen, your brother lost his memory after a fall today and forgot the way home. Chen Wenwen continued to mock. Have you lost your memory? You are pretending to be the same. Chen Wenwen's performance surprised Lin Yu. What was going on? Did the original owner do something outrageous? Regarding Chen Wenwen's attitude, Chen Jing on the side was unhappy and scolded. Wenwen, why are you talking? Apologize to your brother. Snort. Chen Wenwen snorted coldly and returned to the room and closed the door. Chen Jing looked at him and said, Xiao Yu, you go back to the room to rest for a while, and I'll prepare dinner. There are 2 bedrooms and 1 living room in total. My room must be another room. I went back to the house and took a look. The layout of the room is very simple, with a bed, a writing desk, and a set of large wardrobes. The room is very tidy, clean. Lin Yu put down his school bag, took off his school uniform, went to the kitchen to wash his hands, then took off the apron and tied it on his body. Auntie, let me help you. Chen Jing glanced at Lin Yu, then stepped aside to let him operate. Auntie, tell me about my past. Chen Jing watched him cooking and told him about his situation. In fact, Chen Jing was not her biological aunt. She was just in an adventure team with his parents. In an accident, Lin Yu's parents and Chen Wenwen's father were gone. She took Lin Yu back to her home to live together. Lin Yu knew that there were many things that she had not said, and Chen Wenwen seemed very unhappy with his attitude. Is there any conflict between the two? Auntie, how much does an ordinary soul ring cost? Chen Jing thought for a while and said, an ordinary soul ring that is hundreds of years old can be as cheap as tens of thousands of federal coins, or as expensive as hundreds of thousands or millions. Oh, Auntie, you don't need to prepare a soul ring for me, I will find a way myself. Chen Jing thought for a while and said, although Xiao Yu's family is in a tight situation, I will get rid of some unused things in the house tomorrow, but I can still scrape together tens of thousands of yuan. It is still okay to buy an ordinary soul ring. Lin Yu quickly waved his hand, it's really no need. I will find a way, aunt, you believe me. There is no way the system has already arranged a white soul ring for myself. There is no use in buying any more soul rings, so why make things worse for this poor family? Chen Jing looked at Lin Yu in front of her and smiled, okay. I believe you. Lin Yu looked at the ingredients in the pot, and then looked at Chen Jing, Auntie. Why are there only meat ingredients at home and no vegetables? There is not much farmland in the city. The farmland is outside the city, but it is not safe outside the city. Not only are monsters attacking humans, but there are also herbivorous beasts eating crops, so there are very few vegetable foods in the city. As for meat, there are several large ones in the city. The breeding farms and the food spirit masters can also supply them normally. Xiao Yu, if you want to eat vegetables, let's go buy some tomorrow. Speaking of food spirit masters, he remembered that there seemed to be a spirit in his class that was a hamburger. No need, Auntie, I just asked. As for vegetables, I prefer meat. Soon after, a family of 3 sat at the table to eat. Chen Wenwen looked at the dishes on the table and asked, Mom, what day is it today? I asked you to take out all the food from the bottom of the refrigerator. Your brother awakened his martial soul today and was born with full soul power. Let's celebrate, don't talk too much, and eat. Okay, Lin Yu knew that his aunt was not telling the truth, and it seemed that the meat was not cheap. Lin Yu picked up the chicken legs on the plate and put them into Chen Jing's bowl. Auntie, eat chicken legs. Wenwen, you can have one too. Lin Yu picked up another one and put it into Chen Wenwen's bowl, and then had some chicken soup mixed with rice. Chen Wenwen took a taste of the chicken legs and wanted to speak, but her mother across from her glared at her and swallowed her words directly. After dinner, Lin Yu returned to his room and closed the door. Then he checked the system's rewards for the day. The small golden ball of light showed Li Siwan's peak martial arts memory. The instructions for use were to place it close to his forehead. The small green bottle contained the perfect super warrior serum, which could increase his strength by 10 points. Doubles the physical properties, has the effect of easing menstruation and cutting marrow, how to use it orally. Now that Wuhun is dead, he relies on these 2 things. Just when he was about to take it, the door was pushed open. Chen Jing stood at the door and said, Xiao Yu, I'm going back to my room to rest. You should wash up and rest early. Okay, Auntie. Chen Jing closed the door and left. Lin Yu picked up the perfect super soldier serum and drank it in one gulp. Then he picked up Li Siwan's martial arts memory and put it on his forehead. In an instant, he felt countless ants biting his body, and at the same time, countless people who did not belong his own memories swept over him, causing him to faint. In another bedroom, Chen Wenwen looked at her mother who was mending clothes. Mom, what's going on with Lin Yu? Don't say you didn't notice anything unusual about him. Well, I suspect he is not your brother anymore. Chen Wenwen sat up immediately. Mom, what do you mean his body has been taken over by a monster? Let's call the police. Chen Jing rolled her eyes at her daughter. Are you stupid? Is it possible that a monster can cook? Besides, your brother fell like this in school. If you think about the strength of Principal Wu of number 1 middle school, his strength is one of the best in the entire city of Jinling. What kind of monster can wander under his nose? Your brother's situation is like he has a dual personality in his body. After he fell, the main personality entered a dormant state, and the second personality occupied the body. Quote. That's not right. If there are two personalities, why does he have no memory? Chen Jing thought for a while. Perhaps his personality was dormant before and did not accept his previous memories. This is the only explanation. No one in this world writes any novels about time travel and rebirth. Mainly, no one reads them. Ordinary people have no time to read them in order to survive. Soul masters are all on the road to improving their strength, let alone reading them. Okay, I hope so. This stupid look now is much better than the annoying look before. Okay, it's getting late, go to bed early. The electricity bill is also very expensive. On the other side, Lin Yu struggled to get up from the ground. In his mind, he had the complete chapter of the Holy Art of Qian Kun, the missing outline of the 5 Thunder Heavenly Heart techniques, the Dharma of absorbing Kung Fu, and the 3 martial arts. As for the general outline of Wu Lei Tian Shinju, he seems to have remembered 2 sentences when watching the anime. The ice falls in Tianling Mountain, the sky is full of stars in the door of the shrine, or something. He can't remember the rest. Then he smelled a foul smell, and the clothes on his body were stuck to the black liquid. He knew that this was the effect of tendons and marrow, so he immediately opened the window, found a set of pajamas in the closet in the room, and gently opened the room. I opened the door and went to the bathroom to take a good shower. Half an hour later, Lin Yu saw himself in the mirror. His appearance had improved again, and the waistcoat lines on his body had come out. Then he put his clothes in the wash basin and washed them. They really stinked. It took 2 washes to make the smell of the clothes lighter, and 4 washes before they were completely clean. I hung the clothes to dry on a hanger, and then I discovered that there was a basket of unwashed clothes on the ground next to me. Immediately, he took back the basket of clothes and washed them. This was out of an instinctive habit. In his previous life, he was like that, doing laundry, cooking, cleaning and taking care of the children. There is no way he is the kind of honest person who doesn't make money. In his free time, he just reads novels and refreshes his mind. Moreover, he is not the kind of particularly smart person. As a result, none of the 3 children in his family are his. When he learned the news, he drowned his sorrow in drinking and then traveled through time. After washing all the clothes and drying them in the bathroom, he then returned to the room and looked at the time. It was already 11 o'clock. Lying on the bed and getting ready to sleep, he subconsciously glanced at the system panel and sat up again. He unexpectedly discovered that on the system panel, there was a plus sign above the first soul ring, and then there was this row of numbers at the bottom of the system panel. It was now 32,546, and 1 number was added every second. Could it be? Then he frantically clicked on the plus sign on the first soul ring, and then the number on the ground was really decreasing. He stopped clicking on the first soul ring at 999, and the first soul ring also turned yellow. Hey, be good. 1 second of soul ring plus 1 year, how should you deal with it? Haha. I thought my martial soul was dead, but I didn't expect it to be the opposite, awesome plath. Now he has no sleepiness at all. The soul ring can increase the lifespan, and there is no reason why the natal soul bone can't. Then he clicked on the storage space panel, picked up the head soul bone, and installed it in the equipment slot where the head was vacant. It was really okay. Then all 6 natal soul bones were assembled, and the external soul bones were also installed. The 10-year natal head soul bone comes with passive skills, mental immunity, which can be immune to a certain amount of mental damage. The effect is affected by the age of the soul bone and one's own strength. The soul bone of the 10-year born right arm has the attached skill, soul bone weapon, which can transform the soul bone in the body into a handheld weapon. The soul bone of the left arm can also be transformed. 10 years of left arm natal soul bone, passive skills, left hand weapon proficiency. The 10-year right leg's natal soul bone has the attached skill of sprinting. The running speed is increased by 100%, the duration is 10 seconds, and the cooling time is half an hour. The sprinting speed, duration and cooling time are affected by the age of the soul bone and one's own strength. 10-year left leg natal soul bone, with attached skills, flash to the target location, cooling time is half an hour, the initial flash distance is 1 meter, the flash distance increases by 1 meter for every 100 years the soul bone increases, the cooling time is affected by the age of the soul bone and your own strength influence. The 10-year natal body trunk bone comes with a passive skill, self-resurrection. However, when the body is damaged and disabled at birth, it will repair itself. The repair speed is affected by the age of the soul bone and its own strength. Attached soul bone 10 years later. Wings of life, wings composed of energy, increase various attributes of the body, can fly and grow. The 7 soul bones, except for the external soul bone, were all plus numbers. He added 10,000 years to the head soul bone first. He felt that his brain was particularly clear. He could remember all the things he had forgotten before. Shu Huan handed it to Zhang Zifan, also remembered Zifan's children's song, and then sat down cross-legged and began to practice the 5 Thunder Heavenly Heart technique. There was nothing to say all night. Early the next morning, Chen Jing got up and prepared to wash clothes, but found that the clothes had been washed and hung up to dry. Even her underwear was washed clean. It seemed that Lin Yu's second personality was quite good. Chen Jing came out after taking care of her personal hygiene and found that the door to Lin Yu's room was open. She stretched her head and took a look and found that Lin Yu was not in the room. The room was very clean and the quilt was folded neatly. Chen Jing wondered where Lin Yu had gone. After she sent the clothes to the balcony to hang them up and was about to start making breakfast, Lin Yu opened the door and came in with 2 convenience bags in his hand. "Xiao Yu, where have you been this early in the morning?" "Auntie, I went to the nearest vegetable market in the morning and found out that all the foods sold in the market were synthetic foods, and very few sold natural foods. The prices were ridiculously expensive, so I plan to grow my own." Chen Jing was a little puzzled. Lin Yu took a foam box from the window of his room, and then took the 2 bags he had brought back. One of them was filled with a bag of soil, and they were all poured into the foam box, inside. Lin Yu looked at Chen Jing and smiled. "Auntie, please bring some water." Although Chen Jing was puzzled, she still went to the bathroom and brought half a basin of water over. Lin Yu took out 2 vegetable roots from another bag and planted them in the soil. Chen Jing asked in confusion, "Xiao Yu, what are you doing?" Lin Yu smiled. "Auntie, didn't I say I would grow my own vegetables? I want to try it." At this time, Chen Wenwen was wearing cool pajamas and yawned as she walked out of the room. She sneered at Lin Yu's actions and went directly to the bathroom. Lin Yu poured water into the foam box, and after moistening the soil, he summoned his martial spirit, and a yellow spirit ring rose from his body. "Xiao Yu, where did your soul ring come from?" "Auntie, we'll discuss this issue later. All things grow." Lin Yu then pointed at the foam box with the life scepter. A green light shot out from the top of the life scepter and fell directly on the 2 vegetable roots in the foam box. The vegetable roots sprouted quickly and soon grew into 2 Chinese cabbages. "Auntie, bring me the kitchen knife." Chen Jing also admired the magic of Lin Yu's soul ring in her heart, and then went to the kitchen to get a kitchen knife and chop off these 2 Chinese cabbages. Everything grows. When Chen Wenwen came out of the bathroom, there were already a dozen or so cabbages on the table. What was going on? "Xiao Yu, we have enough Chinese cabbage. It would be a pity if we can't eat too much and it spoils." Hearing what Chen Jing said was right, he immediately uprooted the last 2 Chinese cabbages, locked it and took out a rotten tomato from the bag, took out a few seeds from it, planted it in the foam box, and then used the growth of all things again. This time it failed. "Xiao Yu, why do these tomatoes only bloom but not bear fruit?" "Yes, I'm confused too. This flower has bloomed several times, but there is no fruit at all." Chen Wenwen returned to the room and took out a cattail leaf fan to slap the tomatoes a few times. Then she looked at Lin Yu and said, "Try again." Lin Yu then used the growth of all things again. This time the tomatoes grew quickly, became red and mature, and Chen Wenwen picked the biggest one, and then went back to the room while eating. Chen Jing picked all the red tomatoes, and then fanned them a few more times. Tomatoes were picked one after another, and the yield was so high that there was no need to plant a second crop. "That's enough, Xiao Yu, I can't hold these tomatoes anymore." Lin Yu felt that his soul power was almost exhausted at this time, so he cut off the tomato seedlings, moved the foam box back to the window sill of his room, then came out to wash his hands, took a tomato and tasted it. It was very delicious. It felt like it's like eating fruit. It's juicy and very sweet, and tastes better than any tomatoes I ate in my previous life. Lin Yu took another tomato and handed it to Chen Jing. Auntie, try it, this tomato is very delicious. After Chen Jing washed her hands and took it, she took a bite. It was indeed very delicious. Maybe it's because Xiao Yu used your soul power to induce the birth. This tomato tastes very good. And it's crispy and hard on the outside. It should last for several days. Auntie, tell me, if I sell this tomato, someone should take it from me. Chen Jing was stunned. Xiao Yu, if you are short of money, tell me, there is no need for us to waste energy on this matter. You should focus on cultivation. Lin Yu said with a smile. Auntie, I want to live in a house with a yard. Chen Jing spread her hands. I can't do anything about this. Auntie, I plan to go out for a while, so you don't have to cook for me. Before Chen Jing could say anything, Lin Yu went back to the room, picked up his school bag, packed 2 tomatoes and a bag picked up from the vegetable market and went out. At this time, Chen Wenwen walked out of the room. Mom, where did his first soul ring come from? Chen Jing spread her hands. I don't know either. He didn't tell me. Do you still have breakfast? No, I only need 2 tomatoes. After leaving the house, Lin Yu wandered around for a while. When it was almost noon, he returned to his school. It was a holiday today and the school gate was closed. Uncle, I'm looking for teacher Tang Yanren from class 3, grade 3. I'm Lin Yu from their class. Lin Yu took out his pass, and the guard opened the small door to let him in. Lin Yu came to the door of Tang Yanren's office and saw her coming back with a lunch box. Tang Yanren opened the office door and walked in. Sit down by yourself. Why are you here today? To be honest, Lin Yu was really in a good mood when he saw Tang Yanren, mainly because of her beauty and eye-catching appearance, so he smiled and said, Have I missed you, Teacher Tang? Tang Yanren rolled her eyes at Lin Yu. You came here specifically to talk nonsense today. Lin Yu took out a convenience bag containing vegetables from his school bag, went to Tang Yanren's sink and washed it. Then he saw a small plastic basin leaning against the wall of the inner room. He took the plastic basin, washed it twice, and put it in vegetables or placed on Tang Yanren's desk. Tang Yanren looked at the small plastic basin with black lines all over her head. Lin Yu, do you know what this small basin is for? This is where I wash my butt. You use it to store vegetables. Lin Yu waved his hand. It's okay. It's all for your own use anyway, you still dislike yourself. Besides, I have washed the small basin 2 or 3 times. To be honest, it is much cleaner than the vegetables in your bowl. Are you not sure whether the vegetables in your bowl were washed before stir-frying? If you see the chef stir-fry, I'm sure you won't be able to eat. Tang Yanren was right when she thought about it. Indeed, she didn't know what the chef looked like, and she didn't know whether the vegetables were washed or not. Then she lost her appetite instantly. When she saw the vegetables in the small basin, she thought that it was the basin she was using anyway. Dislike. Tang Yanren picked up a tomato and ate it. It was really delicious. She ate more than she had eaten before. After finishing 1 tomato, she took out a bell pepper and tried it. It tasted good too. This pile of food isn't cheap, isn't it? You're so polite for nothing. Tell me your purpose. I grow the vegetables myself. Let me ask you how to quickly buy a detached villa in a wealthy area. I'm serious. Tang Yanren looked at Lin Yu's serious look and smiled. The fastest way is for you to pursue Lin Moxu. Her family has countless houses in rich areas. As long as you can pursue her, a house in rich areas for Lin Moxu, the house is just a matter of words. And with your talent, Lin Yadong should not refuse. Lin Yu recalled Lin Moxu's cold face, and it was obvious that she was not his type. Lin Moxu had that stinky face, as if someone owed her hundreds of millions. If she doesn't call, she doesn't like it. That's the reason for her family's ice technique. When the skill is perfected, she will naturally have a normal expression. If you don't want to take this path, there is only one way to go, and that is the Adventurer Association. Follow the adventurers to the city. When hunting monsters outside, the soul ring of a 5th-level monster can be exchanged for a house in a rich area. Of course, if you are lucky and pick up a soul bone, even if it is an elementary level, you can exchange it for a house. After Tang Yanren finished speaking, She took out a carrot from the basin and gnawed it. Lin Yu thought about it and asked the most critical question, how to collect soul rings. Tang Yanran took out an object like a code scanning gun from her waist and handed it to Lin Yu. This is the soul ring collector developed by the Federation. Use it on the corpse of a recently deceased monster. It can condense the essence of the monster's flesh and blood into a soul ring. It needs to be used within half an hour of the monster's death. After half an hour, the soul power of the monster will be dissipated and the soul ring will no longer be able to be condensed. Also, when the monster is put into the storage space, its soul power will also dissipate immediately. I'll give this to you. I guess I won't need this. It's a toy. Lin Yu glanced curiously at Tang Yanran's waist. There was a small black leather bag, which should be space storage equipment. Tang Yanran's previous strength should not be simple. Don't worry, when I become a god, there will definitely be a place for you by my side. Tang Yanran was happy. Okay. I hope I can wait until that day. Then the two briefly chatted for a few words. Lin Yu took out a few bags of vegetables from his school bag and was about to leave. Then he thought about it and asked again, what are the conditions if I want to leave the city? The city gate opens at 7 in the morning and closes at 7 in the evening. Civilians who are not soul masters are not allowed to leave the city alone. To leave the city, an adventurer's badge or a letter of introduction from the public is required. Information about leaving the city is registered at the city gate, and registration is also required when entering the city. After all, if you don't come back for a few days, you will be treated as a missing person. After the city gate is closed, it will not be opened on the same day under normal circumstances. If you don't come back before closing time, you will have to spend the night in the wild. After Tang Yanran finished speaking, she paused for a while and looked at Lin Yu. Maybe you have means that ordinary people don't have, but I don't recommend that you leave the city now. After all, you know nothing about the situation outside the city. Sometimes the danger does not originate from the monster itself. Lin Yu nodded. I'm not thinking about leaving the city now. After losing my memory, I'm afraid that after leaving the city, I won't be able to distinguish between the east, west and north. And the danger you mentioned is other adventurers. Tang Yanran nodded and didn't say anything. She seemed to be lost in memories. Lin Yu didn't bother her anymore and left the school directly. She wanted to go to the Adventurers Association, but after thinking about it, she forgot about it and went to the grocery store to buy a roll of plastic bags, came to the gate of the wealthy area and set up a street stall directly. Fresh vegetables, 100 yuan a bag. Fresh vegetables, 100 yuan a bag. At this time, a car stopped in front of Lin Yu, and the people who got off came to Lin Yu. A man who is gifted with soul power actually came to set up a street stall at the door of our community. Why did you refuse my father's invitation? Lin Yu raised his head and took a look. Oh, he's still an acquaintance. Who is it if it's not Lin Moxu? Lin Yu didn't speak, but picked up a smaller tomato and handed it to Lin Moxu. Try it. Lin Moxu subconsciously wanted to refuse. Even fresh vegetables, which are rare for ordinary people, are the most common things for her. What's more, the tomatoes handed over by Lin Yu have not been washed. She wanted to run away, but her family culture made her stop. She carefully prepared to take the tomatoes from Lin Yu's hand. She stretched out a hand to take the tomatoes, and then took out a bottle of mineral water from the car. Water, wash both sides of the tomatoes and pass them to Lin Moxu. Miss. After Lin Moxu took the tomato, she took a bite and it seemed to taste pretty good. I want them all. Lin Yu was delighted. I have quite a few here, are you sure you want them all? It's all. Are you afraid that I can't pay? Lin Yu smiled. He didn't want to kill a rich man when he met her. Then he picked up his school bag and started pouring vegetables on the grass beside him, pouring out several hundred kilograms. 100,000 sincere benefits. Thank you. Lin Moxu frowned. She didn't expect that Lin Yu's ordinary school bag was still a storage device. She collected all the vegetables with a wave of her hand, and then got into the car. Uncle Fu, give me the money. The man who had just washed Lin Moxu's tomatoes took out a wad of money from his pocket, counted out 10 bills and handed them to Lin Yu. After taking them, Lin Yu took a look and saw that they were in denomination of 10,000 bills, and then he put the money in bag. Thank you very much, Miss Lin. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he left. The man who called Fubo returned to the cab, started the car and drove into the rich area. When he returned home, Fubo told Lin Yadong what happened at the door. Lin Yadong looked at the person sitting on the sofa. Lin Moxu playing with her mobile phone. Mo Shui, let dad see the vegetables your classmates sell. Lin Moxu poured out some vegetables from the space ring. Lin Yadong picked up one and looked at it carefully. Then he asked the maid at home to wash some, and he and his wife tasted it. How is it, ma'am? Lin Yadong's wife looks to be in her 30s, but she has an extraordinary temperament and must be from a big family. The taste is good, and it contains a touch of soul power. It is indeed cultivated by humans using soul skills. To be honest, very few people use soul skills to cultivate vegetables, unless they are the kind of people with poor qualifications who have no hope of promotion. Lin Yadong nodded and said, this is also what I don't understand. If a person with full soul power chooses to grow vegetables as his first soul ring soul skill, then the height he can reach is limited to that. On the other side, Lin Yu came to the mall, first bought 3 smartphones, spending nearly 15,000 yuan, and then applied for 2 mobile phone cards, charging each card with 500 yuan in phone bills. Then he went to the vegetable market near Xingfu community and bought some meat and some fruits. The fruits he bought were apples, oranges and strawberries, most of which were seasonal fruits. Then he bought a few bags of rice, daily seasonings, and grains. The owner of the oil store sent him home with 3 buns. Chen Jing and Chen Wenwen were speechless as they looked at the things brought over by the owner of the grain and oil store. This guy really didn't want to live a hard life. After the owner of the grain and oil store left, Lin Yu found a place to put several bags of rice, then took out 3 new mobile phones from his school bag, picked up one of them and handed it to Chen Wenwen. Wenwen, this is yours. Humph, don't think that just because you bought me a mobile phone, I will forgive you. Chen Wenwen said that, but she still took the phone. Lin Yu then handed another one to Chen Jing. Auntie, your old phone doesn't work anymore, please get a new one. Chen Jing looked at Lin Yu's lavish appearance and asked curiously, Xiao Yu, are you selling vegetables? Facing Chen Jing's question, Lin Yu nodded. I went to the wealthy area and met a classmate from school. She bought them all. There is still 50,000 yuan here. Auntie, you should also take it. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he took out 50,000 yuan and handed it to Chen Jing. Chen Jing did not accept it. You can keep the money yourself. My salary at work is enough. Lin Yu asked curiously, what unit does my aunt work in? Chen Jing didn't speak, but Chen Wenwen on the side spoke. My mother works in a slaughterhouse. She specializes in dealing with some monsters that are difficult for ordinary people to handle. She has 1 day off a week and a salary of 10,000 yuan a month. Oh, auntie, take the money and don't go to work in the slaughterhouse. I will be responsible for the family's expenses from now on. Of course, I will not sell vegetables anymore. Auntie, believe me. Chen Jing looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar face in front of her. After hesitating for a while, she nodded. In the evening, Chen Jing put on a new mobile phone, called the company leader and told her that she would not go to work tomorrow, and then went to the kitchen and started cooking. Chen Wenwen was sitting in the living room, picking out the seeds from the strawberries with tweezers. Wenwen, what kind of person was I before? Chen Wenwen raised her head and glanced at Lin Yu, and said angrily, you used to be a scoundrel. Good things have nothing to do with you. You even stole and spent my New Year's money. Well, how much lucky money did I get from you? Chen Wenwen thought for a moment and said, well, altogether, the total is about 3,000. Lin Yu then took out a 5,000 note from his pocket and handed it to her. I'll pay you back, and the rest will be counted as interest. Chen Wenwen took it, looked at it, put it into her pocket, and then asked curiously, how much vegetables did you sell today? I met a big dog owner today. Does Lin Moxu from our school know about it? I know. Everyone in our Jinling city knows about Lin Moxu, right? The eldest lady of the Lin family bought your vegetables. Yes, that's what happened. Lin Yu told what happened yesterday, and Chen Wenwen showed a puzzled expression. Why didn't you agree to go to Lin's house? He promised you to bear all the expenses in the next few years. What about after graduating from the academy? Doesn't it mean that you have become the Lin family? If he asks you to go east, you can't go west and you will lose your freedom. No matter how much money you have, it is nothing in the face of freedom. Chen Wenwen thought that this was really the case, so she stopped talking about it. Now that dinner was ready, tonight's meal would be sumptuous, including meat, vegetables and fruits. Most people don't have this kind of treatment, even if Chen Jing used to, they are reluctant to eat like this. As for the salary of 10,000 yuan in the slaughterhouse, that is because Chen Jing is also a soul master, and the salary of ordinary people is only 3,000 yuan a month. After dinner, the three of them chatted for a while. Lin Yu went back to the room first and began to meditate. Soon after, Chen Jing came out of the shower and took a look, then stopped talking and went back to her room. After Lin Yu had been practicing for 2 weeks, he looked at the time on his phone and saw that it was already 10 o'clock in the evening. His aunt sent him a message, asking him not to wash clothes at night and leaving her to wash them tomorrow, otherwise she would stay at home and have nothing to do. Also anxious, Lin Yu put down his mobile phone, thought for a while, took down the phone box from the window and planted strawberries for a while, then went to the bathroom to take a shower. He did not wash clothes tonight, so he put his own clothes in the basket. Then he returned to the room and opened the in the system panel, increased the second martial soul and the first martial soul of the god-killing spear to 100,000 years. 100,000-year-old Sky Peregrine Falcon Soul Ring, Soul Skills, Precise Shooting, Hunter Mark. The Hunter Mark is similar to a sure hit skill. As long as you mark the opponent, the shot will definitely hit the target. It is useless for the opponent to dodge and can only be forced to shoot. The passive shooting range of precision shooting can also reach 100,000 meters. He turned off the light and went to the window, took out the god-killing gun, and through the sight, he could see the soldiers patrolling the city wall. There were also various advanced weapons on the city wall. It seemed that mankind had not completely abandoned technological weapons. This is all I can see now, mainly because of the angle. The city wall is higher than where I am, so I can't see the situation outside the city wall, and the sky is also blocked. There is a burst of energy shields and other items, which I wanted to pass before. The attached soul bones were flying in and out, which was probably like seeking death. Then he took back his martial soul and started to sleep. As for meditating instead of sleeping, Lin Yu said that he was not the kind of person to work hard. There was nothing to say all night. When Chen Jing got up early the next morning, she found that Lin Yu had gotten up again and didn't know where to go. Fortunately, he came back soon, carrying a bag of apples and oranges. Xiao Yu, where have you been? Isn't there a small river to the east of our house? I went there for a morning exercise. Lin Yu put down his things and went to wash up. After breakfast, Lin Yu rode Chen Jing's electric car and took Chen Wenwen out. The two went to the market to buy some foam boxes and cardboard boxes. Lin Yu, you still have a storage bag? Yeah, when I get rich, I'll buy one for you later. Then I'll take it seriously. The two came to an unoccupied place by the river and began to plant strawberries. Lin Yu released his soul skill of all things grow, and Chen Wenwen picked strawberries from the box. Strawberries are perennial herbaceous plants, so there is no need to plant them repeatedly. Lin Yu, didn't you tell my mother that you wouldn't sell vegetables? Wenwen, look at it, strawberries are fruits, not vegetables. Besides, my aunt doesn't go to work now, why don't we get some money to improve our lives? Well, then I want to eat roast goose for lunch. Okay, work quickly and I'll buy you roast goose at noon. At noon, the two returned to the delicatessen shop in the vegetable market. Chen Wenwen immediately said, Auntie, we want to roast goose. Little girl, the roasted goose is 500 pounds, how much do you want? Chen Wenwen looked at Lin Yu, who pointed at the largest one, Auntie, we want this one. The aunt who sells cooked food was also shocked. Normally, most people buy 1.5 caddies at most. I am afraid she heard wrongly, are you sure you want one? Lin Yu nodded. Sure. Auntie, you don't need to cut it, let's go home and do it. The aunt directly weighed the big roast goose. Good guy, this big roast goose costs more than 5,000 yuan. That is, if the income remains unchanged, the price has increased 10 times. No wonder ordinary people can't afford it. Ordinary people can't afford it every month. I can't afford this thing with my salary. A roast goose costs more than 5,000 yuan. This thing is something I never dared to imagine before. Wenwen, what kind of person is your father? How do I know this? I have never met my father. I suspect that I am not my mother's biological child. I probably picked it up from somewhere. Nonsense, don't say that in front of my aunt. I'm not stupid. The two of them arrived downstairs at home. Lin Yu was carrying the battery, and Lin Wenwen was carrying the roasted goose. They returned home. Chen Jing saw the big roasted goose in Chen Wenwen's hand and didn't say anything. Lin Yu put down the battery, took the roast goose from Chen Wenwen's hand and went to the kitchen to chop it into pieces. He chopped off the meaty parts and arranged them on the plate, and put aside the meaty and bony parts. Xiao Yu, how do you separate that one? Auntie, that doesn't have much meat, let's use it to stew Chinese cabbage tonight. Chen Jing didn't say anything. He picked up the bowl and filled it with 3 bowls of rice. He asked Wenwen to call Chen Jing before and said that he would bring vegetables back at noon, so she made tomato and egg soup. During the meal, Lin Yu gave 2 goose legs to his mother and daughter, and he ate the big goose head himself. Xiao Yu, you can eat the goose legs. No, Auntie, I don't like to eat pure lean meat. It tastes bad. I would rather eat goose belly and goose head. After lunch, Lin Yu returned to the room and started scrolling through his mobile phone and practicing qigong. He never went out again in the afternoon. The next day, Monday, after breakfast, Lin Yu and Chen Wenwen went out one after another. Chen Wenwen's school was nearby, so Lin Yu accompanied her there first, and then came to his own school. The bulletin board in the teaching building was surrounded by classmates. Lin Yu squeezed in and took a look. Here was the class placement information. He was naturally assigned to Class 1 of Soul Masters. There were originally 6 classes for his freshman year. After the reclassification, there were 2 more classes. In the Soul Master class, the awakening rate of less than half of the Soul Masters is still quite high. Lin Yu came to the so-called Soul Master class. Most of the others had already arrived, so he found a seat at the end and sat down. Hey, brother, are you innately full of soul power and have you absorbed the first soul ring? Lin Yu looked at the person asking the question. Who was it if it wasn't the little fat Yang Dabao? Lin Yu did not speak, but nodded. Yang Dabao asked again, what is the brother's first soul ring and soul skill? Lin Yu thought for a while and said, healing. Yang Dabao wanted to say something else, but the teacher walked in. Lin Yu looked happy. Who could it be if it wasn't Tang Yanren? Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Tang Yanren. I used to be the teacher of the 3rd class of the freshman class. For the past 3 months, I have been responsible for the 1st class of wuhun. The monitor of our class should still be Lin Xiaotao. Everyone no objection. Everyone continued the class without any objections. This class was all about hard stuff. Lin Yu listened very carefully. He understood everything about the Soul Master level and the Soul Beast level. Soul Masters are divided into junior apprentices to 9th level Soul Saints. Each level is divided into 10 levels. Levels 1 to 10 are junior apprentices. Each level is divided into 3 stages after junior high school. Each stage is 3 levels, like his current soul power is level 11, which is the early stage of the 1st level. Demonic beasts are classified into the 1st level in 10,000 years, the 9th level in 90,000 years, and every 3,000 years is a period. If it exceeds 100,000 years, it is a holy beast. At this time, most of the demonic beasts can speak human words. Tang, it is said that Yanren's arm was bitten by the late 6th level Gale demonic wolf, which means she encountered the nearly 70,000-year-old Gale demonic wolf. Note, the age of soul beasts and aliens represents their strength. Killing them to get the corresponding age rings and soul bones does not represent their actual age when they are alive. Close tortoise shell bracket. In the 1st class, Tang Yanren learned some normal science knowledge, and then when the get out of class was over, she packed up her things and left. In the 2nd class, a male teacher changed to explain the types of martial spirits, which are generally divided into animal spirits, plant spirits, weapon spirits, elemental spirits and food spirits. Spirit masters are further divided into melee spirit masters, remotely output soul masters and auxiliary soul masters. Melee soul masters are divided into melee output soul masters and melee defense soul masters. Long-range output soul masters are divided into spell output and physical output, which is a bit like mages and archers. As for auxiliary soul masters, except for the above melee and long-range soul masters, all the rest are included. As an auxiliary soul master, In the third class, another teacher changed. This time he talked about the types of monsters and how to identify the age of spirit beasts. How do you feel this morning? A lot of benefits. In Tang Yanren's office, Lin Yu and Tang Yanren were eating face to face, and there was a basin of washed strawberries on the table next to them. Are you using this basin to hold food again? Forgot, you don't have any other containers here. Besides, I don't dislike it, but you still dislike it. As long as you don't dislike it. Is this what your first soul ring is for? Lin Yu smiled. My first soul skill is for the growth of all things and can give birth to any plant. But as I told my classmates, my first soul skill is healing. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he took out the life scepter and released a healing spell at Tang Yanren. Tang Yanren suddenly felt refreshed and there was still a numbing feeling in the broken part of his right arm. Tang Yanren was surprised. You haven't released the soul ring. Your healing technique comes with the martial soul. Lin Yu nodded, and then asked, what impression did I give you before? Tang Yanren thought for a while and said, how should I put it? The feeling you gave me before was that your presence was very low, and you didn't seem to have any good classmates, except that you were closer to Yang Dabao. In other words, I am a little transparent in the class. That's pretty much what it means. After chatting for a few more words, Lin Yu took the lunchbox and left Tang Yanren's office. She had to take a lunch break at noon, so he didn't bother her. The classroom was noisy and he didn't want to go. Then he came to the playground under a tree, playing with mobile phones in the shade to pass the time. I learned through my mobile phone that this is a strange world. Demonic beasts have always existed. In the past, they were hunted by humans, and the demonic beasts were almost extinct. Then I don't know what happened. 100 years ago, the number of demonic beasts suddenly increased, and humans gave up. Villages and towns in the wild, once inside the walls of big cities, the wild becomes a palace of monsters. There are many cities in the Human Federation, and there are more than 2,000 cities, large and small. Each city is connected by subway, but interstate transportation is not an airplane. It is either a teleportation array, an airship, or an intercontinental teleportation array. Each time it is activated, a large amount of soul crystals are required, which is expensive. Unless it is activated in wartime, it usually travels by airship, and each airship is manned by experts. The largest force in the Federation is not the government, but the Holy See. The government is responsible for the daily management of each city, while the people of the Holy See are fighting at the forefront. The contemporary pope is called Eve, a 9th-level high-level soul saint. Judging by her name, she should be a female pope. Unfortunately, there are no photos of her online. My classmates all say that your number one soul skill is healing. Lin Yu looked up and saw that it was his big customer, and immediately put on a smile. Is this important? Try this, it's countless times more delicious than yesterday's vegetables. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he took out a bowl from his school bag and handed it to Lin Moxu. Lin Moxu looked at the strawberries in the bowl that Lin Yu handed over. She knew that it had been washed, so she took one. I tasted it and found that it was indeed much better than the vegetables from the day before yesterday. How much? Give me 100,000 yuan. Lin Moxu wanted to say how much she wanted, but the guy in front of her couldn't judge it according to common sense, so she immediately changed her mind and said it would be 100,000 yuan. Lin Yu took out 10 boxes of strawberries, plus a box of apples and oranges from his school bag. Thanks to Miss Lin for patronizing my small business again, I will give this box of apples and oranges to Miss Lin for free tasting. Lin Moxu looked at Lin Yu's smiling face and looked like a profiteer, and she wanted to punch him. She put away the fruit, left 100,000 yuan, and hurriedly left here. Lin Yu happily accepted 100,000 yuan. This Lin Moxu, he is really his big benefactor. When the afternoon class came, they were not in the classroom, but in the meditation room. This class was still taught by Tang Yanren. She first projected the structure of the human body, explained the operation mode of soul power, and then taught everyone how to breathe and meditate. This is the official unified basic cultivation method. After you get to university, you will be able to come into contact with advanced cultivation techniques, and of course there are some rare techniques. It all depends on your opportunities. There is also a large Qi gathering array in the meditation room, which is used for junior soul master apprentices to be promoted to first-level soul masters. Lin Moxu and Lin Yu are already first-level soul masters. You can move around freely in the afternoon. You can also go home. Go. Okay. The school's meditation room is for students who have not reached the first level. Lin Yu, who had nothing to do, left the school directly. After thinking about it, he took off his school uniform and put it in the space, and got on the bus. Go to the Adventurers Association. Sitting by the window of the bus, looking out at the city streets, most of them were buses and there were very few private cars traveling. He guessed that private cars were also a symbol of strength and status. The bus stopped at the entrance of the Adventurers Association. After Lin Yu walked in, he found that there were people here. When he entered the hall, he saw a huge screen hanging in front of him, which was filled with information about other people's rewards. Lin Yu took a look at the bounty tasks. The ones with the highest rewards were completely nonsense. I want to buy a 10th level soul ring with a bounty of 10 billion federal coins. I want to buy a 10th level soul bone, and the reward is 100 billion federal coins. Those who can hunt down 100,000-year-old holy beasts are themselves 9th level soul saints. These people are not short of the 10 billion. Besides, the soul saints themselves are short of soul bones, let alone sell them to you. Of course, there are also normal ones. For example, the reward offered by a certain barbecue restaurant owner is much more normal, and the long-term purchase of giant-toothed rabbits is 10,000 yuan each. Lin Yu really knew this. In the morning, the teacher also introduced the giant-toothed rabbit. The giant-toothed rabbit is an elementary monster. Their giant teeth have a very strong bite force and can easily bite off human armors and weapons. The key is to come out in a big den, with single attack skills and worthless soul rings. Ordinary soul masters are unwilling to provoke them, and high-level soul masters don't bother to hunt them. Therefore, they are the monsters that soul masters least want to encounter. But this kind of rabbit meat is a high-end ingredient, the meat is very delicious, and it is loved by the rich. Lin Yu didn't pay too much attention, but there was a process on how to become an adventurer posted on the wall nearby, which could then be processed on the machine. Lin Yu found a machine and started to register adventurer information. There were secret information and public information. The information was the real name system. The public information was a nickname, soul master profession, soul master level, etc. Nickname: Yulin, wuhun, healing staff. Level: first level beginner. Occupation: therapeutic assistance. Team: none. After completing the registration, a brooch fell out of the machine. Lin Yu took it out and saw a barcode and a series of numbers. After putting the badge away, he continued to look in the hall. Is anyone going to the deserted village of Shicheng with you? Take me with you, a second-level advanced melee soul master myself. An auxiliary soul master is coming from Snake Valley. There is no limit to the level. He is required to be able to detoxify. Level 4 and 1 will set off immediately. Evil Cave, there is still one person missing. Please come to any output soul master, wait for 4, and set off immediately. Lin Yu felt that this was like playing games in his previous life. There were gamers everywhere, but he didn't know where the Snake Valley or the Evil Cave was. However, he did find an interesting place. There was a teleportation array machine here. He saw 5 people standing up and disappearing into a line of light. There was a similar machine next to them. People came out from time to time, and some people still had blood stains on their clothes. Lin Yu walked over and asked curiously, "Brother, where did this teleportation machine go?" The somewhat bald operator looked back at him and said, "Brother, are you new here? This teleporter can connect to the 4 gates of our Jinling city. It can transmit 10,000 federal coins per person at a time, and it can transmit about 5 people at a time. Of course you can also choose to take the bus. It only costs 2 yuan. How long does it take to get to the city gate by bus?" The operator smiled and said, "If you take the bus, it takes an hour. Why do you want to experience it?" Lin Yu nodded, and the operator asked him to go aside and buy a ticket. After buying the ticket, he returned and handed the ticket to the operator. "Which city gate are you going to, little brother?" Lin Yu thought for a while and said, "Let's go to the south gate." "That's just right, brothers, please squeeze in and let this little brother go to the south gate with you." At this time, there were already 5 people on the teleportation instrument, 3 men and 2 women. One woman was wearing a tight leather jacket and a hooded leather mask with only one pair of eyes outside. She looked really good in figure, and the other was very exposed and enchanting. The enchanting woman said, "My little brother is so handsome, why don't you come into my sister's arms and let her hold you?" The operator also laughed. "Waddy, you old, don't scare this little brother. You're of your age and there's no problem with it." The woman named Waddy was unhappy. "You bald man, I'm only 35 this year, okay? Come on, stand firm, it's time to set off." Lin Yu stood up, and then felt a dazzling light appear. He closed his eyes and opened them again, and found that he had arrived at the south gate. Several people got off the machine. Waddy waved to him, and they left the city. At the gate of the city stood several soldiers with guns, and 2 staff members, scanning the barcodes on their chests with barcode scanners. After the 5 people left the city, Waddy took out a car, and the 5 people got in and drove away. Lin Yu thought about it and put his barcode on his chest and walked over. One of the girls took a barcode scanner and scanned it. Dip. After confirming that there was no problem, he was about to walk out, but the girl who was operating the computer stopped him. "Wait a minute, Yulin." Lin Yu turned around and was a little confused. The young lady said, "There are dangers outside the city. Are you sure you want to go out of the city alone?" Lin Yu nodded. "I just went out of the city to have a look, I didn't think about where to go." "Okay then, when in danger, remember to run to the road and be careful." After Lin Yu left the city, he took a look at the attribute panel. In 3 days, he accumulated a total of 260,000 free attribute points. The second spirit and first spirit ring used 100,000 points. He gave himself 6 points and added them to 10,000. All the remaining 100,000 points were added to the soul bone of the natal right arm. The soul bone in his right hand that is 100,000 years old, comes with soul skills, soul bone weapons, fission attacks. Fission attack. Passive skill, attack the same target with a soul bone weapon, and the damage of another attack will be doubled. It can currently fission 5 times, and the soul bone will fission 5 times for every 100,000 years. That is, the second attack is double damage, the third attack is quadruple damage, the fourth attack is 8 times damage, the fifth attack is 16 times damage, and the sixth attack is 32 times damage. The current maximum is 32 times. It seems like a powerful passive skill, but there is no monster standing there stupidly waiting for you to chop it, unless it is the kind that is huge and moves very slowly. Lin Yu left the road and came to a plain. It was within the shooting range of the city wall. Naturally, there was no live animal, so he could only walk a little farther. A 2-handed hatchet appeared in Lin Yu's hand, the kind used by the Fire Blade Sword Master of Warcraft. After swiping it a few times, he found that it was not smooth. Then a dagger appeared in his hand. Refer to the one in Qinliang Quangshalang's hand. After swiping it a few times, it's a little easier to use than a hatchet, but it's still not very easy to use. Finally, it transformed into a meow knife, which felt right. As he walked towards the periphery, the weeds around him became deeper and deeper. Just when Lin Yu was bored, a big wild boar ran towards him. Lin Yu turned sideways and lightly slashed the wild boar's head with his sword. "Ha, dinner is ready." Lin Yu put away the big wild boar and was about to walk back, but he felt something coming behind him. When he looked back, he saw a bunch of rabbits. The rabbits had a pair of huge incisors in their mouths. This thing couldn't be a giant-toothed rabbit. There was also a huge red-eyed rabbit. It seemed that the wild boar had stabbed the rabbit nest. Gigi. The giant-toothed rabbit screamed, and then other rabbits swarmed towards Lin Yu. Lin Yu swiped his long knife, and more than a dozen giant-toothed rabbits were cut in half. It's a waste, hundreds of thousands are gone. Immediately, the meow knife in Lin Yu's hand turned into a metal stick. He swung the stick and killed the giant-toothed rabbits directly. The Rabbit King realized that something was wrong and wanted to run away. Flash. Lin Yu appeared in front of the giant-toothed rabbit in a flash, and hit the Rabbit King back with a stick. He was beaten to death with sticks, and then he took out the soul ring collector and began to collect the soul rings of the giant-toothed Rabbit King. Maisie's soul ring and a small bone fell out. Oh, there's a protection period for newbies. Lin Yu quickly collected the rabbit carcasses on the ground. There were 132 rabbits in total. 12 of them were chopped up. With so many rabbits, there must be a rabbit nest nearby. There may be treasures there. He took advantage of the novice protection period. If you haven't, go look for it quickly. Then I followed the direction the rabbit came from and looked for it. Soon I saw the body of a wild boar. Something had bitten through the wild boar's throat. I put it away and sold it for money. Then I continued to search, and after picking up the carcasses of 5 or 6 wild boars, I saw a small soil slope with a cave more than 1 meter wide. It was a dark hole. I really had no experience at all, and I didn't even have a flashlight. Bring. Lin Yu thought for a moment and took out his cell phone, turned on the flashlight and bent over to get in. After a while, he came out and vomited wildly. Don't these dead rabbits have a sense of smell? The corpses were also dragged into the holes. After vomiting for a while, he covered his mouth and bent down again to get in. A moment later, he came out with a school bag and a small leather bag. Then he took a deep breath of fresh air, and when the odor dissipated from his body, he headed towards the city gate. By this time, the sky had darkened. When he was approaching the city gate, a car stopped beside him. Little brother, how was your harvest from this trip? Lin Yu turned around to see who it was if it wasn't Hua Dai. He smiled, took his school bag, opened his mouth and gave Hua Dai a look. If sister likes it, you can take some back and keep them for fun. Hua Butterfly took a look and saw a small white rabbit in a school bag. Although the rabbit was not big, they could still recognize the giant-toothed rabbit. Wadi smiled. Little brother, I don't dare to raise these things. There is no cage to hold them. Sister, can't it be enough if my sister pulls out their front teeth? Without the giant teeth, they are just ordinary rabbits. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he took out 2 little rabbits from his school bag and pulled out their front teeth. Then he took out the scepter of life and unleashed the 2-shot technique on the 2 rabbits. The rabbits' giant teeth were gone and the wounds were healed. There is no possibility of growing giant teeth anymore. These 2 rabbits are given to my 2 sisters. Lin Yu handed over the 2 little rabbits, and the masked woman in the co-pilot took the 2 little rabbits over. Lin Yu put his school bag on his back, waved to them and continued towards the city gate. Wadi looked at Lin Yu's back and said, what do you think of his strength? A man in the back seat said, giant-toothed rabbits usually appear in groups. These little rabbits only live in rabbit nests. As an auxiliary soul master, it is not easy for him to catch a nest of little rabbits. Another man also spoke. Is there a possibility that someone killed a rabbit nest and he just happened to pick up the rabbit nest? Wadi shook his head. People who can kill a nest of giant-toothed rabbits will not go to the giant-toothed rabbits and ask you to kill a nest of rabbits. Are you willing? You will definitely not be willing to do such a thankless thing. Quote. The masked woman said, he is very strong, and his body is stained with the fresh blood of giant-toothed rabbits. He must have killed a nest of rabbits, and there is a ferocious beast hidden under his harmless skin. Ayu, you are exaggerating. Let's go back. When they returned to the city gate, put away the car and walked in, they saw that there were also 2 little rabbits with teeth extracted on the staff's table. Wadi asked with a smile, excuse me, what is the name of the young man who just gave you rabbits? We have no other intentions. He just gave us 2 little rabbits. After Wadi finished speaking, she pointed to the 2 little rabbits in the arms of the masked woman beside her. His name is Yu Lin, that's all I can say. Thank you then. On the other side, Lin Yu took the teleporter back to the mission hall again and found the clerk to hand over the commission for the barbecue restaurant. He took out 30 rabbits and put them on the counter. The fat clerk pushed the rabbit that had been broken into 2 sections aside. You can't handle these 12 rabbits, they're all in 2 sections. They won't accept them at the barbecue restaurant. Okay. Lin Yu put away the 12 rabbits and took out 32 more. The fat man smiled and said, good guy, you have poked a hole in the rabbit nest, haven't you? There are 50 rabbits in total, and you will receive a 10% commission. Here is 450,000. Lin Yu didn't expect that the Adventurers Association would still collect commissions. Just when he picked up the money and was about to leave, a female voice sounded. Since when did the Adventurers Association charge a 10% commission? Fatty, you're bullying the newcomers again. Lin Yu didn't need to look back to know that Wadi was coming. Wadi directly put his arm around Lin Yu's shoulders and said, the commissions for all tasks are paid by the client. Fatty thinks you are a newcomer and deliberately deceives you. Lin Yu nodded. Oh. Does the Adventurers Association have a life and death arena to resolve personal grudges? This fat guy and I will go up and have a fight. The fat man immediately put on a smile. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Then he took out another 50,000 yuan and handed it to Lin Yu. Lin Yu put away the money, nodded to the flowers and butterflies, and then left. Chapter 11. Lin Yu got on the bus and returned home. Chen Jing had already prepared dinner. Chen Jing saw the blood stains on his chest and clothes. Xiao Yu, are you out of town today? Lin Yu nodded. The school students will be practicing in the meditation room in the afternoon. Let me move around freely. I will go out of the city to have a look. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he handed the school bag to Chen Wenwen. Chen Wenwen opened it and saw 6 little rabbits inside. Then she asked curiously, Lin Yu, where did this little rabbit come from? I found a giant-toothed rabbit nest this afternoon. Let's eat first. We'll talk about it later. After dinner, he handed Chen Jing the 500,000 yuan for selling rabbits, then brought a big basin for washing quilts from the bathroom and poured out the remaining rabbits. The rabbits were too big, each one weighed more than 10 kilograms, and the big basin could not fit in it. Piled directly on the ground. Chen Jing asked curiously, Xiao Yu, did you encounter a nest of giant-toothed rabbits? Yeah, I don't know who killed him. I didn't ask for the body, so I picked it up, along with a few blood-toothed wild boars. Chen Jing glanced at Lin Yu and said nothing. Instead, a dagger appeared in his hand and began to cut up the giant-toothed rabbit. This dagger should be Chen Jing's martial spirit. Chen Jing's method of decomposing rabbits is simply breathtaking. He can dispose of 1 rabbit in a few seconds, and all 82 rabbits in 10 minutes. Auntie, what level is your soul power? 2nd level peak. This is a hurdle. Countless people cannot break through this level. That is level 29. Yu Shaoan in Duluo continent has also been stuck at this level for many years. Then Chen Jing cut off the rabbit's head and put it in the bathtub. She put the rabbit's skin aside. As for the internal organs, she kept the rabbit's heart and liver, and put the rest in garbage bags. Xiao Yu, please put away the rabbit meat. I will cook the rabbit head and internal organs. As for the rabbit skin, I will send it to the fur factory tomorrow. Oh, I also picked up a storage bag today to see what's in it. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he went to the bathroom and gave the black bag a good wash. After all, he had torn it off from a rotting corpse. After making sure it had no smell, he started to check the storage bag. There are hundreds of thousands of federal currency, some food, and ordinary items such as drinking water. There is a soul ring collector and a few yellow soul rings, and that's it. This is an unexpected surprise after all. The space inside was not too big, just the size of a room. Lin Yu took out a few soul rings inside, kept the rest inside, and handed the storage bag directly to Chen Jing. Auntie, I don't need this, you can keep it. Chen Jing took the storage bag, took a look at it, then hung it on her waist and put away all the rabbits and other things. Where's the blood-tusked boar? Take it out and let me deal with it together. Lin Yu took out all 8 blood-tusked wild boars, and then went back to the room to meditate. On the other side, the masked woman who had met Lin Yu several times returned to Lin's house and handed a rabbit cage to Lin Moxu on the sofa. Then she took off her hood, revealing her silver white hair, and then washed her hands. Then I sat down and started eating strawberries. Lin Moxu looked at the 2 white little rabbits and asked curiously, Sister, where did these 2 little rabbits come from? This masked woman is called Su Moyue, the daughter of Lin Yadong's sister, who is also Lin Moxu's cousin. She did not inherit the Lin family's phoenix martial spirit, but inherited her father's ghost cat martial spirit. Su Moyue stopped eating. I met an interesting young man at the Adventurers Association today. He looks about the same age as you. Where did this strawberry come from? It tastes really good. A classmate of mine sold it to me. My dad invited him to our house before, but he refused. Today he sold me strawberries at school. Sister, you said that a person who is born with soul power has the first soul ring. It's to promote plant growth. Is this person useless? Su Moyue did not stop eating and replied casually, people with innate soul power usually get invitations from the Holy See. What is the name of your classmate? His name is Lin Yu, and he exudes a little family spirit. Su Moyue smiled. Compared with you, Miss Lin, who is not a petty person. After she finished speaking, she continued to eat the strawberries, and then murmured to herself, Lin Yu, Lin Yu. You Lin. It's interesting. Lin Moxu, who was feeding carrots to the little rabbit, turned around and asked, Cousin, what are you talking about? Is everything okay? Do you still have these strawberries? I'll bring some back to the capital to eat later. After 2 weeks of operation, Lin Yu came out to take a bath. He did not see Chen Jing, but the house was already tidy. After taking a bath, Lin Yu lay on the bed, took out the rabbit's soul bone and played with it slowly. The right leg bone of a giant-toothed rabbit, age, 2,000 years, soul skill, rabbit kicks eagle. Rabbit kick eagle, a type of melee combat technique. The user quickly finds the opportunity to use the lying down movement, causing tons of damage to the enemy's abdomen with both legs. The damage effect is determined by the age of the soul bone and the user's strength. Rabbit kicking eagle is a physical combat skill, he knew it, but in this world it has become a soul skill. He looked at his equipment panel, put down the right leg bone of his life, and tried to use the right leg of the giant-toothed rabbit. Put the leg bones on top. He didn't expect it to be possible. There was also a plus sign on it. He added the soul bone to 10,000 years, and then used a trick of rabbit kicking eagle, stepping on the air with his legs to make a sonic boom sound, and replaced it with his natal soul bone, but I can't step out of this feeling. After a night of silence, Chen Jing made rabbit fried rice early the next morning. It tasted spicy. Lin Yu ate 2 large bowls, and then set off to school with Chen Wenwen. Chen Wenwen pouted and said, As you said, prepare a storage bag for me. I only picked up one yesterday. Let's do it next time. Besides, you are still in junior high school, so it is not appropriate to bring a storage bag. I will prepare it for you next time. After sending Chen Wenwen to school, Lin Yu himself returned to the school class. He listened very carefully to the theory class in the morning. For him, a time traveler with no memory, everything was unfamiliar. What surprised him was that there really were places like dungeons in this world. They were called secret realms. Generally, secret realms require special props to open. Like the evil cave I heard about yesterday, it is an open dungeon. There are 2 floors in the cave. After the adventurer kills all the monsters in the cave, all the monsters will return to their original state the next day. What surprised him the most was that there was also a place to spawn monsters in Jinling City, which was the city sewer. There was not much danger in the city sewer. They were all giant rats and cockroaches, so it was generally a place for junior soul masters to practice. At noon, Lin Yu had lunch with Tang Yanren. After lunch, Lin Yu asked what equipment was needed for an expedition out of the city. Tang Yanren said that Lin Yu had written it down. Also, if you take away those 2 little rabbits, it will be difficult for me, sister, to feed myself. Besides, this giant-toothed rabbit thief can eat, and it will naturally make him poop if he can eat it. I will still take care of them when I have nothing to do. Okay, you're just afraid of trouble. Lin Yu put away the 2 giant-toothed rabbits, then left Tang Yanren's office and came to the shade of the playground, where he found Lin Xiaotao sitting there. Hey, why isn't the monitor in the classroom mingling with the classmates? Lin Xiaotao glanced at him, and then said lightly, not in the mood. Lin Yu came directly to her and sat down. Hey, monitor, if you have anything unhappy, tell me to make me happy. I don't want to say it. In fact, Lin Yu was very clear about Lin Xiaotao's problem. Tang Yanren told him at noon that Lin Xiaotao had also reached level 10. Lin Xiaotao's family background was similar to that of Lin Yu. She was also a single-parent family. Don't think it's strange. There are many single-parent families these days. Lin Yu took out a yellow soul ring from his school bag and handed it to Lin Xiaotao. Lend it to you and return it to me later. If you can't pay back, just pledge yourself to it. Lin Xiaotao looked at the soul ring in Lin Yu's hand and hesitated. Lin Yu continued. The 500-year-old emperor's black-shaded snake soul ring, the soul skill should be a precise strike. Do you want it? Don't forget it. Yes, Lin Xiaotao said, grabbed it, and then looked at it. It's agreed. If you can't afford it, you have to pledge yourself to me. Humph. Lin Xiaotao snorted, and then crossed her legs to refine the soul ring. Lin Yu looked at the baby-faced Lin Xiaotao, who was quite cute. This soul ring was in the storage bag he picked up yesterday. At this time, Lin Mo Shui also walked over and saw Lin Xiaotao meditating and refining the soul ring without making a sound. 10 minutes later, a yellow halo rose from Lin Xiaotao's body, and Lin Xiaotao opened her eyes with an excited look on her face. Congratulations, squad leader, for officially becoming a first-level soul master. Lin Xiaotao waved her hand. Sprinkle some water. Lin Yu then pulled out a 1.6-meter-long meow knife and looked at Lin Xiaotao. Squad leader, try it. Just give it a try. If you lose later, don't blame me for bullying you. Lin Xiaotao waved his hand, and a 2-meter-long coiling dragon spear appeared, and then it rushed towards Lin Yu. Lin Yu slapped the spear aside with his Miao Dao. He did not attack, but kept defending. Lin Moxu on the side could see clearly that Lin Yu's simple martial arts skills were very high, and his attack on Lin Xiaotao was effortless at all. Lin Yu missed Lin Xiaotao's spear again, then quickly turned around and slashed down with a knife. An ice pick was chopped to the ground by him, and then the second and third ice pick flew over. At this time, Lin Xiaotao shouted, "Accurate one hit." Lin Yu ran away. It is true that he had Li Siwan's martial arts memory, but his body could not keep up with the speed of his brain. Besides, this was just a sparring match, not a life-and-death fight. Faced with the siege of two people, he could not expose his strength. If you continue to fight, you won't be able to fall well. Okay, I'm going out to buy adventure equipment. Are you with me, squad leader? Lin Xiaotao shook her head. No. I have to go home. Lin Xiaotao's mother is still collecting money to buy her a suitable soul ring. She needs to go home quickly to tell her. Lin Yu nodded and was about to leave, but Lin Moxu stopped him. Lin Yu, wait a moment. Lin Yu turned around when he heard Lin Moxu calling him to stop. Lin Moxu got straight to the point. Lin Yu, are there any vegetables and fruits? To be honest, I am not as short of money as before. Since you are my first and last customer, I will sell you the last batch. I will never sell fruits and vegetables again in the future. After Lin Yu finished speaking, he put out 20 cartons, 10 boxes of vegetables and 10 boxes of fruits. Lin Moxu put away the 20 boxes, handed Lin Yu 200,000 yuan and then left. Lin Yu looked at Lin Xiaotao on the side. From the space he took out 2 plastic bags and handed them over. Squad leader, I grew this myself, take it back and try it. After Lin Yu handed the 2 bags to Lin Xiaotao, he turned and left. This time he left the school and went to the Adventurers Guild, where all adventure equipment can be purchased. A beautiful young lady asked, "Hello sir. What do you need to buy?" Lin Yu took out the list and handed it over to the young lady for matching. The young lady took a look at the list and said, "Sir, these are common adventure supplies. Do you want better quality ones or ordinary ones? What's the difference? You get what you pay for. A tactical flashlight like this can provide light for about 2 hours, and a better one can last up to 12 hours. What's the price difference for a set? It's too expensive and I can't afford it." The young lady thought for a moment and said, "I took a quick look and found out that the average price of your set of goods, sir, is around 15,000 yuan, and the good quality ones are around 100,000 yuan. I have to calculate the details. Then get a good set." The young lady was happy. "Okay, sir, please wait a moment. I will match it for you right now." Lin Yu knew that the young lady sold a lot and should be able to get a commission, but this was also her normal salary, so naturally he wouldn't say anything. The young lady followed the order and then assigned the goods to him. After calculating the sum of 100 and 200,000, the young lady took the initiative to give him 200 free of charge. After Lin Yu paid the bill, he noticed 2 sets of leather jackets hanging next to the same ones as the masked young lady yesterday. How to sell this kind of clothes? The young lady smiled and said, "This is made from glutinous animal skin. It is more wear resistant and has a certain degree of defense. It costs 100,000 for a set. Okay. The 200,000 that Miss Lin just gave me is gone again. He is going to sell the soul ring later." The young lady found him a suit of clothes that fit him well. After paying the money, he put the ones that Tang Yanren didn't want in his school bag. 2 little giant-toothed rabbits were given to this sister. He ignored the young lady who asked for his contact information, but went to the soul ring collection place nearby and took out all 8 soul rings in the space. There was a machine here that could detect the type and age of the soul rings. 7 of the spirit rings are hundreds of years old, and one is a 2,000-year-old giant-toothed rabbit spirit ring. After some testing, the store believed that the 7-century-old soul rings were of good quality, so they all accepted them at 100,000, and the 8 soul rings were given at 800,000. Seeing that there was nothing going on here, Lin Yu returned home and looked at the fruit trees, strawberries, and the like from the previous few days, releasing all things to grow. This time, these things were for his own consumption, and then he planted some vegetables. When I returned home in the evening, I saw that the table was piled with disposable lunch boxes, some round and some square, filled with rabbit, pork and rice. "Auntie, what are you doing?" Chen Jing smiled and said, "I prepared it for you. When you go to school or go on adventures outside, you can take it out and eat it directly when you are hungry." "Thanks. Well, you can take it into the space while it's hot." Then Chen Jing took out a few convenience bags containing spicy rabbit heads from the space, and Lin Yu put them all away. "Auntie, what are the years and skills of your first and second soul rings?" Chen Jing thought for a while and said, "My first soul ring is 400 years old, and my soul skill is fast cutting. My second soul ring is 800 years old, and my soul skill is backstab. It is a passive skill that doubles the damage done behind the target. It sounds like I haven't used it in many years." Lin Yu took out some more fruits and vegetables from the space and asked Chen Jing to put them away. After Chen Wenwen returned home, the three of them started eating. In Tang Yanren's office at school, Tang Yanren was eating spicy rabbit head and drinking freshly squeezed orange juice. "This rabbit head is delicious, but it's a bit too spicy. I'll have a hard time going to the toilet tomorrow." Lin Yu pointed to a box of rabbit meat aside and said, "Isn't this giant-toothed rabbit meat? If you don't want to eat it yourself, you have to eat the rabbit head." Tang Yanren wiped the sweat on her forehead with paper. "Mainly after eating the rabbit head, the rabbit meat has no flavor anymore. Save the rabbit meat for dinner. It's okay, feel free to eat. I'll give you the healing technique later." Tang Yanren raised her head and looked at Lin Yu opposite. "Can your healing skills also relieve spicy food?" Lin Yu shook his head. "I don't know, give it a try. If it really doesn't work, just drink some milk." "Come on, I can't afford milk." After lunch, Lin Yu used the healing technique on Tang Yanren again. Tang Yanren once again felt a numbness in the broken arm, and the hot feeling in her stomach was gone. Lin Yu saw that Tang Yanren was fine, put away the life scepter, and then asked, "The dagger-like martial spirit, the first spirit ring is about 400 years old. The spirit skill is fast cutting, and the second spirit ring is about 800 years old. The soul skill is backstab. The third soul ring is suitable for many years. What soul skill should I choose?" Tang Yanren thought for a while and said, "For this kind of assassin-type melee soul master, the most important thing is body skills. The third soul ring is best 3 to 4,000 years old, and the soul skill is best the kind that increases the movement speed." Lin Yu continued to ask, "Besides body skills, what else do you recommend?" "It's best to be invisible, but this kind of soul ring is too rare and can't be seen on the market at all. The other kind is armor breaking or poison attack type." Lin Yu thought it made sense, so he stood up and left. After leaving school, he took a car to the Adventurers Guild and found the store where he bought the soul ring yesterday. "Does the boss have a 4,000-year-old melee armor breaking soul skill?" "My friend, there are really few armor-breaking souls. This kind of thing is relatively unpopular. Most people are pursuing high-damage soul skills such as critical strikes. Such scraping soul skills rarely appear. Like the one you bought yesterday. My giant-toothed rabbit spirit ring has a bite attack and is armor-breaking, but you don't want the 4,000-year-old one. The highest one is the 2,000-year-old one you got yesterday." Then Lin Yu asked about toxins, and there was one from 4,000 years ago. When he heard that it was a spirit ring produced by a toad, he decisively refused. Then he went to the toilet here to change into a leather jacket, and hung up his badge, spent 10,000 yuan to take the conveyor and came to the south gate again. After leaving the city, Lin Yu took out a map, which marked what spirit beasts were in some locations outside the city. Then he headed towards Rabbit Mountain, the largest gathering place for giant-toothed rabbits. It was a place that adventurers usually didn't want to go. There were too many rabbits, and they swarmed as soon as they appeared. Low-level adventurers did not dare to go, and high-level adventurers did not want to go. Besides, there were not many adventurers as poor as Lin Yu. Because there was a little distance, Lin Yu used his sprinting skills and ran towards Rabbit Mountain. He arrived at Rabbit Mountain half an hour later. Oh my God, how many rabbits are there? It is estimated that there are tens of thousands of them. It can be big even if you sell rabbits. Make a fortune. Lin Yu then took out the soul bone weapon and the big iron rod. Hey! Grandchildren! Hiss, hiss. Countless rabbits swarmed towards him. Lin Yu's iron rod transformed into a windmill. With one blow, countless rabbits were killed and sent flying. Who would have thought that a first-level junior soul master could come to Rabbit Mountain? The windmill turned around a few times, and he was tired. He then spread out the wings of life attached to his soul bone and flew to a nearby jungle tree to rest. The rabbit stopped being restless when he couldn't see the target. When Lin Yu was almost recovered, he came over to the windmill. 3 hours later, Lin Yu emptied the Rabbit Mountain and put away all the rabbit corpses, leaving more than 20 big rabbits to start absorbing the soul rings. After absorbing more than 20 rabbit soul rings, no soul bones appeared. No wonder the soul bones appeared. So rare, it is still the largest rabbit. According to the age, it should be 10,000 years old. Bless the gods and demons in the heavens and give me another soul bone. Ding! After the soul ring was absorbed and taken out, he heard a crisp sound and felt the metal fall to the ground. He quickly looked over and saw that it was indeed a soul bone or a trunk bone. He then put away the trunk bone and prepared to go into the rabbit hole. Boy, hand over that soul bone, and I will keep your whole body. Only then did Lin Yu realize that there was a strange old man standing next to him. He was not in the habit of talking nonsense to his enemies. He appeared directly, took out the god-killing spear, and a red light rose. He turned around and shot him. Bang! When the old man saw the red soul ring rising from Lin Yu's body, his first reaction was to run away. He regretted it. He was returning to the city from here. He saw someone killing rabbits in Rabbit Mountain and stopped out of curiosity. Only to find that guy after getting a soul bone from the Rabbit King, he instantly became greedy. After all, soul bones are too rare, and they are also a torso bone that is 10,000 years old, so it is definitely worth a sky-high price. The old man felt that he was locked, and a threat of death filled his body, and then he used all his soul power to activate the defensive shield. Click! The defensive cover shattered like glass, but the bullet was also consumed. The old man knelt on the ground and shouted, "Senior, spare your life." When he saw the red soul ring, he subconsciously thought that the person facing him was a 9th-level soul saint. This was not a being that he could mess with. However, he was answered with 2 more bullets, one hitting the center of his eyebrows and the other piercing his chest. The old man couldn't be more dead. Lin Yu shot a few more times, then carefully approached him, made sure that the other party was dead, and began to touch the body. Lin Yu didn't expect that the first time a person also has a novice protection period. The old man exploded a soul bone, and it was still a right soul bone. He didn't have a storage bag, but then he found a ring in his right hand. Then Lin Yu thought about it and put it away. The old man's body then got into the rabbit nest. This time, except for a bunch of little rabbits, there was nothing gained in the rabbit hole, not even a corpse. He searched twice unwillingly, but found nothing. When he was about to leave the rabbit hole, he found something on the top of the hole. How can we not get nothing from a few mushrooms? Mushrooms are just mushrooms. After picking a few mushrooms, I put them in my school bag, then left Rabbit Hill and ran towards the city gate. After entering the city, he took the car directly home. After all, it was already past 6 o'clock today. When he got home, Chen Jing saw him dressed like this and knew that he was out of the city again. "Xiao Yu, change your clothes and eat." "Oh, okay, auntie." After Lin Yu returned to the room, he took off his black leather clothes and changed into home clothes. Then he sat down and started to eat. The food was extremely rich these days. In the evening, there was dongpo pork, fried liver tips, and a pork rib soup. After dinner, Lin Yu returned to the room and started practicing. At this time, his soul power had reached about level 12. The increase in years of soul rings and soul bones could not bring about an improvement in his soul power. The old man did not attack him today. Otherwise, I might really have to kneel down today. After practicing for 2 weeks, he took another bath, then returned to his room, closed the door and checked today's harvest. You don't need to look at the soul rings. The giant-toothed rabbit's soul ring will most likely be a bite attack, mainly 2 soul bones. The torso bone of the giant-toothed rabbit, age, 10,000 years, soul skill, golden body is indestructible. Indestructible golden body. Releases a golden defensive shield, immune to all damage for 1 second. Isn't this similar to the invincible golden body, the main skill of the soft bone charm rabbit? Why does the giant-toothed rabbit also have it? Lin Yu thought about it and actually used it twice when he killed the Rabbit King today. The first time, his big windmill really hit it. Fei was killed by it only the second time. As for whether it used the invincible golden body, I didn't even notice it. Right arm bone of the god of death praying mantis, age, 20,000 years, soul skill, flying mantis slash. Flying mantis slash. Fly forward and land a fatal blow with the sword. Putting away the 2 soul bones, he began to check the storage ring. What he saw was a pile of money. Lin Yu knew that he would never be short of money to spend in the future. He conservatively estimated that there were hundreds of millions, and he would never have to go there again. Rabbits for sale. There are also a few black soul rings. I put them aside if I don't need them. The rest are just some miscellaneous items. There is nothing worth noting. However, the storage space of the storage ring is many times larger than that of the storage bag. There is enough in it. The size of an indoor football field. Just when he was about to go to bed, he remembered that there were still a few mushrooms, and then took a look at his school bag. The ghost mushroom is a rare mushroom that grows in dark caves. It does not like sunlight. It is aged for hundreds of years. When it is refined after reaching a certain age, it can change the qualifications of the cultivator and even evolve certain martial spirits. The higher the age, the better the effect. Lin Yu thought for a while and moved the foam box on the window in again. He put the foam box under the desk, planted 6 mushrooms separately, and then continued to release all things to them to grow until the internal energy was exhausted. Then took out a black garbage bag to cover the foam box, and started to sleep after doing all this. He went to school the next day, continued to listen to the lectures carefully in the morning, and went to Tang Yanren's place for dinner at noon. Tang Yanren glanced at him and said calmly, "You killed someone?" Lin Yu asked curiously, "How did you know? You can understand that this is my ability. How did you dispose of his body?" After Tang Yanren finished speaking, she took the lunch Lin Yu prepared for her and started eating it directly. Lin Yu did not hide anything. "Yesterday afternoon, I met an old man in Rabbit Mountain. He wanted to kill someone and seize the treasure, but I killed him. I originally wanted to leave him in Rabbit Mountain, but I was afraid that he had a special identity, so I put the body in the storage space, prepare to throw it into the territory of the carnivorous monster later. You did the right thing. Some people can see the last scene of the deceased through the corpse. What kind of treasure can there be in Rabbit Mountain? It only means that you have picked up the soul bone. It is normal to kill people and grab treasures in the wild. You can take it with you next time. Mask out. Yesterday I wore 100,000 suit, that leather jacket with a hood." Tang Yanren nodded. "That's okay. It seems you are a little more powerful than I thought." Lin Yu also started to eat, then thought for a while and said, "I am not a particularly smart person, and I don't like to think about the meaning of other people's words. If you want to say anything to me in the future, just say it." "Well, let's eat." After lunch, he asked Tang Yanren. Most of the students were still meditating and practicing. Those who had broken through the 10th level continued to move freely. Lin Yu thought for a while and went back home directly. Chen Jing, who was sitting in the restaurant looking at her mobile phone, saw Lin Yu who opened the door and came in, so she asked, "Have Xiaoyu had lunch? Why are you back at this time?" "Auntie, I came back after eating it. In the past few days, the school has helped those students who have not broken through to level 10 to break through to level 10. The children who have broken through to level 10 can move around freely. Auntie, let me teach you a new set of cultivation methods." Chen Jing looked at Lin Yu in front of her seriously, and then asked, "Xiaoyu, do you want me to continue practicing?" Lin Yu nodded seriously, "Yes. I think no matter how far I go in the future, you can always be by my side." Chen Jing saw Lin Yu say such words with a serious look on his face, which made her heart beat faster. "All right. Then Lin Yu began to explain the practice method of the supreme holy art of heaven and earth. He explained it very carefully and asked Chen Jing about things he didn't understand. At about 3 o'clock, Chen Jing began to practice the supreme holy art of heaven and earth. Lin Yu returned to the room and continued to unleash the growth of all things on the ghost mushroom. After his internal energy was exhausted, he also began to meditate and practice. After running for 2 days, when she walked out of the room, Chen Jing was already preparing dinner. At around 6 o'clock, Chen Wenwen went home, and the three of them started to have dinner. Before going to bed at night, Lin Yu checked the ghost mushrooms. There was indeed a slight change, but not much. After all, this kind of thing is not a fruit or vegetable, and it would take at least 10,000 years to reach the level of elixir. Before leaving the next day, he said hello to Chen Jing and said that he might come back for dinner at noon. Chen Jing nodded to express his understanding. When Lin Yu came to school, he saw everyone in the classroom talking about it. He called Yang Dabao over. "What are these people talking about, Dabao?" Yang Dabao turned his head. "Brother, you don't know yet. Rabbit Mountain, which no one has been to for hundreds of years, was recently taken away. Now there is no adult giant-toothed rabbit there, only the rabbit nest is left. Some little rabbits. Which master do you think this is, looking for trouble for the rabbits in his free time?" Lin Yu was also happy. Maybe that master is so poor that he wants to sell rabbits. Don't be ridiculous. If you were really an expert, a 5th level or above soul ring is worth more than the entire Rabbit Mountain rabbit. Just then the theory class teacher came over, everyone stopped talking and started class. At noon, I went to Tang Yanren's office and left her a lunchbox with meat and vegetables, as well as a box of cut fruits. Tang Yanren asked curiously, "Aren't you going to have lunch together today?" "No, I have something to do when I go home at noon." Tang Yanren thought for a while and said, "According to the current progress, some students should be able to take practical classes next week. So next week's afternoon, if you don't have anything important to do, don't leave school." Lin Yu nodded. "Okay. I understand. I'm leaving first, bye." After Lin Yu left school, he returned home directly. Chen Jing had already prepared lunch, 2 dishes and 1 soup, a plate of spicy rabbit offal, a plate of vegetarian stir-fried Chinese cabbage, and a smooth meat soup. Chen Jing served Lin Yu a bowl rice, the two of them sat down to eat. Lin Yu took 2 mouthfuls of rice, and then said, "Auntie, I have prepared 2 soul bones and a soul ring for you. You can absorb them later." Chen Jing glanced at Lin Yu who was eating opposite him, then nodded and said, "Okay." After Chen Jing tidied up, she went to wash the dishes first. Lin Yu returned to his room and unleashed all things to grow on the ghost mushroom. When Chen Jing came in, he stopped and covered the ghost mushroom again with a garbage bag. "Xiao Yu, what is there?" "Ghost mushrooms are a kind of medicinal material. I want to cultivate them into elixirs. Auntie, please sit down cross-legged first." Chen Jing took off her shoes and sat cross-legged on the bed. Lin Yu took out 2 soul bones and a black soul ring. "Xiao Yu, what are these?" 100,000-year-old giant-toothed rabbit drives dry bones, soul skills, indestructible and master of disguise. The right leg bone of a 100,000-year-old giant-toothed rabbit, soul skills, rabbit kicking eagle and moving like a rabbit. Quote. Today is Thursday. He has activated the system for 6 days. He has earned 86,400 free years points in 1 day. 6 days also has 500,000 years. He has used 240,000 for himself and 200,000 for these 2 soul bones. There is not enough left. The right arm bone of the god of death praying mantis is 100,000 years old, so it was not taken out. Chen Jing was surprised. 100,000 years. Why don't you use it yourself, Xiao Yu? She thought it was only a few thousand years old, and it would be enough to help her break through to the 3rd level. But it turned out that what this guy brought out was 100,000-year-old, 100,000-year giant-toothed rabbit. Stop being ridiculous. Lin Yu smiled and said, "These are not compatible with my martial arts. Auntie, please choose one first." "Xiao Yu, which piece do you think is suitable?" "Everything is suitable. If you don't need to fight for the time being, just use dry bones first." Chen Jing picked up the trunk bone to refine according to Lin Yu's suggestion. Lin Yu looked at it for a while and found that Chen Jing's current strength was too strenuous to refine the 100,000-year-old trunk bone. He also sat on the bed and sat cross-legged behind her, put his palms against her back, and used the holy art of Chenkin to help her mobilize the soul power of the holy art of Chenkin in her body. The two people's skills are from the same source, so there is no repulsion. A huge amount of soul power poured into Chen Jing's body from the soul bones. Soon the torso bone in her hand disappeared, turning into a golden light and sinking into her body. Chen Jing felt the huge soul power rushing inside her body. There is a risk of death at any time. Xiao Yu, what should we do now? Lin Yu didn't expect that the soul power contained in the 100,000-year soul bone was too huge and she was in urgent need of a breakthrough. However, the soul ring she just took out was 10,000 years old. She would definitely die violently if she absorbed it now. Unless now suck out the excess soul power from her body. Immediately, Lin Yu used the power-absorbing method to absorb all the soul power in Chen Jing's body into his own body. His own soul power level was like riding a rocket. Xiao Yu, you are feeling better now. Can I absorb that soul ring now? Can. Chen Jing shouldn't think too much, so she picked up the black 10,000-year soul ring and began to absorb it. Lin Yu helped her refine it again. Half an hour later, a black soul ring rose from Chen Jing's body, the third soul ring in 10,000 years. This is something that many people dare not even think about. This is also unprecedented. What level is my aunt's soul power now? What is her third soul skill? You should be at level 40. The third soul skill is to divide gold and break jade, which is an armor-breaking skill. Soul Bone's soul skill, invulnerability, is immune to all damage for 10 seconds, and Master of Disguise blends into the surrounding environment. Quote, the same kind of soul rings, soul masters with different attributes absorb different soul skills, but Lin Yu has finally found a cheating technique, which is Li Siwan's power-absorbing method, which is much faster than practicing the Holy Chenkin by himself. Okay, you get used to your abilities first. I'm going to take a shower first. Lin Yu ran to the bathroom and started taking a shower. His clothes were indeed soaked. At this time, his soul power soared to level 22. He opened the system panel and took a look at his attributes. The second soul ring of the first martial soul life scepter is the 10-year rose crystal butterfly soul ring, and its soul skill is hypnosis. The second soul ring of the god-killing gun is the 10-year fire salamander soul ring, and the soul skill, flame bomb. Soul skills are literal. What is the effect of soul skills? It still depends on the age of the soul ring and one's own strength. If he gives the first martial soul and the second soul ring, it should be added to 999 years. He should be more low-key as a person. Lin Yu came out of the shower and returned to the room. He found that his aunt was not there. He didn't think much about it. At this time, he felt a finger pointing at the back of his neck. Okay, is this the Master of Disguise? To be honest, I really didn't notice it. Chen Jing's voice sounded behind Lin Yu. Indeed, it's very easy to use, but you can't make any movements. If you move, the disguise will be released, and there is no time limit if you don't move. This thing is like the racial skill of the Night Elves in World of Warcraft, Shadow Escape. Lin Yu thought for a while and said, use it as a life-saving skill. Use the move like a rabbit to escape when the body is invincible, and then find a place to disguise yourself. Haha, Xiao Yu, you have already thought about how to operate my life-saving skills. Okay, you can take a break. I'm going to take a bath, you can keep that right leg bone first. Chen Jing went to take a bath, and Lin Yu began to consolidate his strength. After all, he got it from the Dharma absorption technique, not from his own practice, so it was still almost meaningless. When Chen Wenwen came back in the evening, Lin Yu stopped practicing. After the three of them had dinner, Lin Yu went back to his room to rest. Lying on the bed, Lin Yu suddenly remembered that black and white Wucheng sucked out the inner energy from Zhang Xuanli's body, and left his own space there as a corpse inside. How about giving it a try? Finally, he had to think about it. Now his soul power is restless. Besides, it is too uncomfortable to absorb corpses to practice. He still doesn't plan to use it. He should go back and find a suitable place to throw the corpse. There was nothing to say all night. When he came to school the next day, the students were still discussing the topic of Rabbit Mountain. Lin Yu didn't pay attention to it. When the bell rang, he became a good boy who listened carefully in class. After class, Tang Yanran said that actual combat training would start next Monday afternoon. Those who have not broken through level 10 this afternoon will come over tomorrow and continue the day after tomorrow. Those who have broken through level 10 should try to prepare their soul rings in the next 2 days. At noon, the two of them had lunch together. Tang Yanran glanced at Lin Yu. Have you broken through the second level? Lin Yu was also surprised. I find it seems like I can't hide anything from you. Tang Yanran took the lunchbox and said while eating, the restlessness of your soul power is so obvious, others can feel it if they pay a little attention. Okay, I found that you were really a good mentor. After eating, Lin Yu went to wash a bowl of fruit for Tang Yanran again. This time he did not use her previous small bowl. He bought several fruit baskets. Tang Yanran picked up a strawberry and ate it, and then said, your innate soul power has been reported to the school immediately. It is estimated that when you graduate, someone from the Holy See will invite you to go to the Holy See Academy in Seoul City. Actually, it doesn't matter where I go, even if I go to school locally. It will be closer to you this way. Tang Yanran rolled her eyes. Is this all you have? What's wrong with this little bit of promise? Does it mean that it has to be like a star in the sea? Or is it just a matter of chatting and laughing that all the boats and oars will be wiped out? In the afternoon, he returned home and released all things to the ghost mushroom to grow. After the soul power was exhausted, he was ready to start meditating. At this time, Chen Jing came to the room and sat opposite Lin Yu. Xiao Yu, there are rumors outside that someone is cleaning up Rabbit Mountain. Is it you who did it? Yes, indeed. We are not short of money now. I have not sold the rabbits. They are all stored in the space. There are probably close to 10,000 rabbits. Oh, do you want me to handle it? Farewell, you can have a rest. We haven't been short of food and drink lately. Anyway, I am idle. I can't be allowed to look at my phone and meditate all the time. Lin Yu thought it was right. Chen Jing didn't seem to be the kind of person who particularly loved practicing, so he walked over and picked up Chen Jing's left hand and put the storage ring on her ring finger. This is a storage ring. The internal space is much larger than that storage bag. Please use this in the future. Chen Jing blushed and nodded, then looked at the contents of the ring and saw a mountain of rabbits. The soul rings and cash in the ring had been transferred to the system space by Lin Yu, but tens of millions of cash were still left in it. With nothing to do, Chen Jing went to the bathroom to kill rabbits, and Lin Yu began to meditate to consolidate his cultivation. The next day, Saturday, a rest day, the three of them did not get up early. After lunch, the three of them went out together to buy daily necessities in a large shopping mall, and also bought some clothes for the three of them. To be honest, Lin Yu didn't have any aesthetic concept about his own clothes. However, Chen Jing used the clothes on Lin Yu's body from time to time and bought all the ones she thought were suitable. The materials of the clothes are synthetic, and pure cotton clothes have become luxury accessories. After all, there are not many cotton farmers these days. However, Lin Yu still suggested that Chen Jing and Chen Wenwen buy a few sets of pure cotton underwear. Anyway, they are not short of money now. Chen Jing took Chen Wenwen into the underwear store to pick out clothes. He sat on the steps in front of the store and waited. Soon after, the mother and daughter came out carrying convenience bags. Chen Wenwen pouted and said, a few small pieces of cloth cost hundreds of thousands, which was something I couldn't even imagine before. Lin Yu smiled and said, this is a luxury jewelry, it's normal. Let's go. After buying almost everything, the three of them returned home, and Lin Yu went to complete his daily tasks, which was to use the growth of all things on the ghost mushrooms and then meditate and practice. Lin Yu did not go out the next day, but suppressed the restless soul power in his body. By night, he had another 300,000 free attribute points in his body. After all, it had been more than 9 days since the system was activated. He added the second soul ring of the god-killing spear, the natal soul bone of the head, and the right arm bone of the god of death praying mantis to 100,000 years. 100,000-year fire salamander soul ring, soul skills, flame bombs, armor-piercing explosive bombs. The soul bone of the 100,000-year-old natal head, soul skills, mental immunity, delusion-breaking golden eyes. The right arm bone of the 100,000-year-old god of death mantis, soul skills, Fatal Blow and Flying Mantis Slash. They are all very practical abilities. That is, the Death Mantis's right arm bone is compared to Chen Jing's Dagger Spirit. He thinks it may be more suitable for sword-type spirits, but it can also be used with daggers. When he came to the classroom the next day, the little fat man Yang Dabao came and put his arms around Lin Yu's neck. "Brother, do you know what my first soul ring soul skill is?" Lin Yu said with a smile. "How do I know this? It can't be a charge or a brutal collision." When Yang Dabao heard Lin Yu say this, he immediately showed a sad face. "Brother, I also want to choose charge or brutal charge. It's a pity that no one supports me." Lin Yu was amused. "Stop being so pretentious. What on earth is it?" The little fat man said with a sad face. "Muddy armor." Lin Yu suddenly had a picture in his mind. A wild boar rolled in mud in the quagmire and dried to form pieces of armor. Then he patted Yang Dabao on the shoulder. "Okay. You are planning to develop in the direction of tanks. Ah, it's okay. For the second soul ring, choose charge or brutal charge." Yang Dabao nodded. "Yes. This is the only way." The class bell rang, and the teacher walked in and started class. Lin Yu looked at the teacher writing on the blackboard, and then tried the ability to break the golden eyes. Name: Yang Yang. Age: 45. Wuhun. Pitchfork. Soul Power: Level 29. Soul Skills: Quick Attack, Flying Cross. Hey, I didn't expect that Polion Golden Eyes has this ability, it's so easy to use. When the last class in the morning was Tang Yanren's class, looking at Tang Yanren teaching on the podium, he activated the golden eyes of destruction again. Name: Tang Yanren. Age: 28. Wuhun. Before Lin Yu could see clearly, a blackboard eraser flew towards him. He had no choice but to reach out to catch the blackboard eraser, and then respectfully brought it to the podium. Classmate Lin Yu, don't do anything unrelated to study during class. Okay teacher, I remember it. Then go back to your seat. Tang Yanren continued class. Lin Yu returned to his seat and sat down. The other students looked at the two of them with puzzled faces. What was Lin Yu doing in the back row? Let Tang Yanren just throw the blackboard eraser. Okay, that's it for this class. This afternoon is a practical exercise. If there are no other circumstances, don't leave the school. Students who have not reached level 10 will continue to go to the meditation room in the afternoon. Let's finish the get out of class. Tang Yanren took the handout and left. Lin Yu was about to follow, but was held back by the little fat man. Brother, what did you do to make teacher Tang throw a blackboard eraser at you? Nothing, I just looked at her one more time. Brother, by the way, you won't fall in love with that old woman anymore, right? Yes, is there any problem? The little fat man gave him a thumbs up. You are awesome, you are not afraid that her metal arm will crush your baby. Lin Yu smiled. Brother, I have the invulnerability of King Kong, it's okay. Let's go. Lin Yu came to Tang Yanren's office and saw Tang Yanren washing her hands and face. He immediately took out lunch for the two of them, and Tang Yanren sat down and started eating directly. Lin Yu asked curiously, how did you find out that I was looking at you just now? Then tell me, how did you advance from the first level to the second level in a few days? I absorbed a 100,000-year-old head soul bone. Is this explanation feasible? Tang Yanren rolled her eyes. You think I'm stupid, don't you? Lin Yu took out something and gave her a look, then put it away again. Tang Yanren almost choked when she looked at what Lin Yu took out. Okay. You are awesome. Don't worry, I'll prepare a set for you later. After finishing speaking, Lin Yu picked up his lunchbox and started eating. After lunch, he didn't leave in a hurry. He lay down on the sofa in Tang Yanren's office to rest. Tang Yanren ignored him and went directly to take a nap inside. At around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they all came to the school training ground, and Tang Yanren took out a form. Du Qian, Wei Shungjin, Shi Zhengxiang, Du Zidang, Zhu Yikyun. Several people whose names were read stood up, and Tang Yanren continued, the 5 of you are a team. You should familiarize yourself with each other's abilities. The 5 people left the team and went to one side. Tang Yanren continued to read the names. Basically, they were in a small team of 5 people. In the end, only 3 people were left. Lin Xiaotao, Lin Moxu, and Lin Yu. There are not enough people at the moment. The 3 of you will form a team first. When other students break through, I will add 2 more to you. Those who have not yet made a breakthrough are those with poor talent. Naturally, Lin Moxu did not want to form a team with those people, so she decisively said, Teacher Tang, the 3 of us are enough. No need to add more people. That's okay, you should familiarize yourself with each other's abilities first. Lin Yu was very familiar with their abilities, so he immediately went to meditate under the shade of a tree. At this time, the fluctuations in his soul power had basically calmed down. Lin Yu, come on, someone is injured. Lin Yu heard Tang Yanren's voice, opened his eyes, stood up, and walked over quickly. At this time, a classmate covered his arm with blood flowing out from between his fingers. Next to him, a girl with glasses and big was still crying. Teacher Tang, I really didn't mean it. Tang Yanren waved her hand. Okay. It is inevitable for a soul master to get injured in battle. Lin Yu didn't hesitate, took out the life scepter, the first soul ring lit up, released a healing spell on the injured classmate, and then returned to the shade of the tree. The male classmate removed his palm and found that the wound not only stopped bleeding, but also healed. Wow, it's amazing, you can't even see any injuries at all. At this time, Tang Yanren said again, in the battle of soul masters, injuries are inevitable, so normal teams will have healing soul masters, or auxiliary soul masters similar to healing, food soul masters, or some plant soul masters, and occasionally it is still necessary to bring a healing soul ring. The next few days were calm, and Lin Yu was like a good baby, not wandering around. A week later, he ordered all 6 natal soul bones in his body to reach 100,000 years. The soul bone of the head that is 100,000 years old, comes with soul skills, mental immunity, golden eyes that break delusions. The soul bone in his right hand that is 100,000 years old, comes with soul skills, soul bone weapons, fission attacks. The 100,000-year-old natal soul bone in his left hand comes with soul skills, the sky-splitting claw, and is proficient in weapons in his left hand. The 100,000-year-old right leg's natal soul bone comes with soul skills, quick steps, and the lightning poison dragon diamond. The natal soul bone of the left leg that is 100,000 years old, comes with skills such as flash, divine crane kick. The torso bones of the 100,000-year-old body, equipped with skills, can regenerate themselves and live forever. 600,000-year-old soul bones, among the 12 skills, 5 are passive skills, mental immunity, fission attack, left-hand weapon proficiency, self-resurrection and endless rebirth. Endless life is an ability to self-restore soul power, which can quickly restore his soul power to the point of being inexhaustible. The 4 auxiliary skills, golden eyes of deception, soul bone weapon, sprint and flash, these are nothing to say, literally. Of the 3 attack skills, the sky-splitting claw is a relatively powerful attack skill that can tear apart space easily. Its main purpose is to tear apart defensive shields and space barriers. It is definitely not a problem to tear apart people. There's nothing much to say about the electro-poisonous dragon diamond. It just makes people spin at high speed like a drill, increasing the damage. The divine crane kick is simply a whirlwind kick. Some people in Street Fighter and King of Fighters can use it, but it's driven by internal force. The attack range of Junshi attack is countless times larger than that of whirlwind kick. Now he can use this move to kick all targets within a radius of 10 meters. It is a group attack. I will no longer write content about the protagonist's soul bone skills in the future. In the blink of an eye, May 1st came, and after a month of training, everyone was finally going to start taking practical classes. There were 80 students in 2 classes, half of them went to the city sewers, and the other half went out of the city to practice. In fact, they had better qualifications. Those with better performance will go out to the city to experience, while those with average qualifications will go to the sewers. After all, the sewers are much less difficult than the wild. After having breakfast at home, he went to school. The school organized 2 buses. Lin Yu got on the bus out of the city. As soon as he got on the bus, he saw Yang Dabao waving to him, and Lin Yu sat directly next to him. After everyone was seated, the bus started to set off. There were 8 teachers in the bus, and each teacher was responsible for the safety of a team. The school originally did not arrange for Tang Yanren to be the leader of the team. After all, her situation was a bit special. She lost her right hand and her fighting ability was very poor. However, because Lin Moxu, a rich young lady, asked Tang Yanran to lead the team. The school naturally, I have to consider her opinion. The bus arrived at the north gate of Jinling City, and the teacher leading the team took out the certificate issued by the school. The gatekeeper confirmed that there was no problem, opened the anti-collision guardrail at the door, and let them drive out of the city. A teacher from the school pulled down a curtain from the front of the car and started projecting. Our target location today is an abandoned town. We have 8 teams, each team is responsible for an area. Then he circled 8 areas. Teacher Yang, you are in charge of Area 1, Teacher Li is in charge of Area 2. Teacher Tang is in charge of Area 8. Teacher Tang, your team has the smallest number of people. Is there any problem? No. Lin Yu took a look at the locations on the map. There were schools, hospitals, and large factories. The location number 8 that he was responsible for was on the edge of the town, with some residential buildings and an abandoned mine. Half an hour later, the bus stopped outside the abandoned town and everyone got off the bus. The leader spoke again and told them to return to the bus before 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Teams set off one by one. Lin Yu took the life scepter and followed Tang Yanran to Area 8. The road was overgrown with weeds, and it seemed that no one had been here for a long time. Lin Xiaotao walked in front of the team and used the panlong spear to clear the way. She used the spear to hit the weeds that were too deep on the road to both sides. Lin Moxu walked in the middle of the team and looked around. Teacher, why does it feel like no one has been here for a long time? This must have something to do with the special location here. In this town, most of the enemies we encounter are undead creatures. They are too young and are worthless to adventurers. Therefore, in addition to the school organizing students here every year, no one else will come at all. Passing through this patch of grass, they saw some ruined walls, as well as skeleton soldiers wandering inside and outside the house, and these skeleton soldiers were their training goals today. Lin Xiaotao and Lin Moxu went into battle. Although they were skeleton soldiers at the level of miscellaneous soldiers, they still had high levels. Basically, Lin Xiaotao had to shoot 3 times and Lin Moxu had to shoot 3 ice arrows to kill 1 skeleton soldiers. Half an hour later, Lin Xiaotao and Lin Moxu were both panting from exhaustion. Tang Yanran asked them to rest for a while and asked Lin Yu to kill a skeleton soldier for them to see. Lin Yu spread his hands. You want me to kill the skeleton monster? I am a soul healer. Tang Yanran said angrily. Go if you are told, there is so much nonsense. At this time, a skeleton warrior wearing armor came out of the corner. Seeing Lin Yu approaching, he raised a rusty long sword and struck at him. Lin Yu turned sideways to avoid the skeleton warrior's tetanus blade. Then a sweeper swept the legs of the skeleton warrior. The skeleton warrior's legs could not withstand the force and fell down directly. When it was trying to get up, a foot stepped on its neck, and then its head rolled to the side, and the soul fire in its eyes was extinguished. Lin Xiaotao and Lin Moxu were surprised. Although they knew that Lin Yu could fight, they did not expect that he could fight so well. This was a skeleton warrior covered in armor. He was not an ordinary skeleton soldier. Neither of them necessarily had the confidence to defeat the skeleton warrior. Tang Yanran looked at the 2 girls on the side and asked with a smile, do you 2 understand? Lin Xiaotao said, classmate Lin Yu is very powerful. Tang Yanran then asked, you see that classmate Lin Yu is very powerful, don't you see anything else? Lin Moxu on the side asked uncertainly, Teacher Tang, are you saying that the position where Lin Yu attacked is the weak part of the skeleton warrior's armor? Tang Yanran nodded. Indeed, although the skeleton soldiers are very weak, you can do better. For example, instead of 3 attacks to kill a skeleton soldier, it takes 2 attacks or 1 attack. At this time, Lin Yu came back. Lin Xiaotao and Lin Moxu both looked at him. Lin Yu didn't show off. The head, spine and neck joints are their weak points. The 3 of them rested for a while and continued to set off. Lin Xiaotao and Lin Moxu still made great progress. 3 attacks slowly turned into 2. By noon, they were able to attack a small skeleton. At this time, they had arrived at the entrance of the mine. Lin Yu took out the tent to prop it up, and then took out the tables, chairs and benches and placed them in the tent. The 3 women went to make it convenient. Lin Yu prepared the food and took out a basin of water and placed it at the door. Then the 3 women also came back. Wash your hands and eat. The 3 of them washed their hands and walked into the tent. Lin Moxu was about to take the food, but when she saw the food on the table, she decided not to take it. Lin Yu asked the three of them to sit down and start eating. Lin Xiaotao picked up a piece of meat on the plate and tasted it. Lin Yu, what kind of meat is this? It's so delicious. Lin Yu said with a smile. This is giant-toothed rabbit meat, and these are the ribs of the blood-toothed wild boar. The squad leader likes to eat more. The next few people stopped talking and began to work hard. A few people were very considerate and completed the CD operation. Even the eldest lady Lin Moxu did not eat less. After lunch, Lin Yu put away the tables, chairs and benches, took out a floor mat, and suggested that they take a rest while he went outside to meditate in the shade of a tree. At around 1 o'clock, the three of them came out of the tent. Lin Yu put away the tent, took out a tactical bright flashlight and handed it to Tang Yanren, while he wore a headlamp himself. The four of them then set off into the mine. In the mine, there were no skeleton soldiers, but mostly skeleton warriors and zombies. Tang Yanren frowned and said, "Something is wrong here. It seems that there is a big discrepancy between the monster's age and the data record. You should be careful. If it doesn't work, we will leave." Lin Yu shook his head and said, "It doesn't hurt to be careful. These warriors and zombies are the best sparring partners for them." Tang Yanren naturally had no problem hearing what Lin Yu said, and just said lightly, "I'm worried that there will be more advanced undead creatures inside the mine." Just as Tang Yanren finished speaking, a fireball hit them. A shield appeared in Lin Yu's left hand to block the attack. Then he threw the shield in the direction of the fireball and cut the monster in two. Everyone walked over. When he saw that it was a skeleton mage who was 500 years old, Lin Yu decisively took out the soul ring collector. After a moment, the skeleton mage turned into ashes and a yellow soul ring appeared. No matter how small a mosquito's legs are, they are still meat. Lin Yu put away the soul ring, took a look, and handed it to Tang Yanren. Tang Yanren took it, took a look, and gave it back to Lin Yu. If it's a fireball soul ring, it can still be sold for hundreds of thousands. Let's go. Lin Yu put away his soul ring and continued to set off. Soon he met a second skeleton mage. This time, they were attacked by ice arrows, and as a result, they had another soul ring again. As the crowd deepened, the age of the monster became higher and higher, and Lin Yu had to hold a shield and act as a tank to block the front for the two of them. Dee da. A skeleton knight riding a skeletal horse and holding a spear appeared and stopped in front of everyone. Tang Yanren frowned. The information provided by the school did not mention that there was an undead knight here at all, and then said, "Lin Yu, this undead knight is nearly 2,000 years old. It is not something that the two of them can deal with." "Then let me do it." Lin Yu put away his shield and the commonly used Miao Dao appeared in his hand. The undead knight picked up his spear and charged at Lin Yu, and a shield appeared directly in front of it. Lin Yu cleverly turned sideways and used an iron bridge. The Miao knife stretched directly towards the leg of the skeleton war horse. Hiss! The horse's legs were cut off, and the skeleton war horse screamed and fell directly to the ground. The undead knight was thrown out. When it got up, it had already lost its head. Lin Xiaotao looked at Lin Yu who was absorbing the soul ring and looked at Tang Yanren. "Teacher, can most soul masters do it as easily as Lin Yu?" Of course it was impossible, but she couldn't say it directly, so she said, "This requires certain combat skills." Lin Yu put away his soul ring and took a look. Soul skill, fearless charge, charging at the target and at the same time using a shield to resist attacks from the front. The few people continued to move forward, and ordinary monsters were still given to the two of them to practice. An hour later, everyone arrived at the bottom hall of the mine, and saw a dark mass of undead. The undead knight headed by them was at least about 50,000 years old. Tang Yanren said quietly, "That knight leader is at least 5th level. There are so many undead here. We need to report it. Let's go back." "Well, take them two out. Wait for me at the entrance of the mine." "Well, then be careful." Then Tang Yanren took Lin Xiaotao and Lin Moxu back, and Lin Xiaotao asked, "Teacher Tang, don't we need to worry about Lin Yu?" "No, maybe he's just curious." Lin Yu waited for them to leave, fell directly among the undead below, and performed the crane kick. After spinning for a minute, he took out 3 soul ring collectors and began to absorb soul rings frantically. Ding, ding. Hearing this voice, Lin Yu became excited, and then he started digging on the ground and found a leg, soul bone and a ring. The time traveler was unlucky. He put away the two things and continued working. Half an hour later, Lin Yu returned to the entrance of the cave. Looking at Lin Yu's beaming expression, Tang Yanren knew that she had gained a lot from this trip. Lin Yu looked at the three of them and asked, "Have you contacted the school or your family or anything?" The three of them shook their heads. Lin Yu took out the life scepter at this time, and the second soul ring lit up on his body. Tang Yanren turned her head subconsciously and did not look at him. Lin Xiaotao and Lin Moxu both looked over curiously. A burst of green light flashed. Tang Yanren turned her head, looked at Lin Xiaotao and Lin Moxu with dull faces, and then looked at Lin Yu. "That's the end of the matter in the mine. I hypnotized the two of them, and when they got to the bottom of the mine, they only encountered an undead knight from 5,000 years ago, and it was the undead knight that the three of us killed together." "Okay, just figure it out." Then Lin Yu snapped his fingers at the two of them, and they woke up. "You two, stop fooling around. Let's divide the spoils." He took out 8 soul rings from the space, 5 yellow ones and 3 purple ones. "Squad leader, this 5,000-year-old undead knight's soul ring belongs to you. Although it cannot be your second soul ring, it is just right to be your third soul ring. Isn't this appropriate? There is only one 5,000-year coin. Isn't it a bit inappropriate for me to take it?" Lin Yu directly picked up the purple soul ring and handed it to her. "There's nothing inappropriate, just take it." Lin Xiaotao accepted this one with a grateful face, and Lin Yu took out another yellow soul ring and handed it to Lin Moxu. For more than 900 years, the skeleton mage's soul ring and martial soul are most likely to be ice armor. Can Miss Lin take a fancy to it? Lin Moxu thought for a while and then took it. Lin Yu continued, "There are still 6 soul rings. I plan to sell them. Then the 4 of us will share them equally." Lin Moxu shook her head. "No need. I gained a lot today, I don't want these anymore." Lin Xiaotao also shook his head. "I have already taken advantage. I don't want it anymore." When Lin Yu heard what the two of them said, he put away the 6 soul rings. "I'm so embarrassed when you two say this. It's normal for Miss Lin to dislike these 3 melons and 2 dates. I see you really like to eat the cherries I brought for lunch, so I'll give you 2 boxes of cherries." Lin Yu took out 2 boxes of large cherries, and Lin Moxu put them away. Then he took out a small black leather bag and handed it to Lin Xiaotao. "Squad leader, I see you don't have a storage bag yet. I replaced this one and gave it to you." Lin Xiaotao wanted to refuse, but Lin Yu unreasonably gave it to her. Tang Yanren said at this time, "Okay. It's getting late. Let's go back." The 4 of them started heading towards the bus. Lin Xiaotao hung the storage bag on her waist and put the 5,000-year soul ring in it. She looked at Lin Yu's back in front of her, her face turned slightly red. Back on the bus, a team also came back at this time. Everyone was chattering together. Lin Xiaotao, as the squad leader, quickly got along with them. They each talked about their own achievements and said that they had defeated the skeleton warriors together. Lin Yu saw that Yang Dabao had not come back, so he came to the back of the bus and sat down next to Tang Yanren. "Do you like Lin Xiaotao?" "I don't like it." "What's wrong? You're so good to her. You've already made her have the illusion of you." Speaking of which, although Lin Xiaotao is not as good as Lin Moxu, her appearance is still among the best in the school. "Don't say it's useless. Just settle her for me and I'll give you a gift later. Just say I don't have any ideas in this regard for the time being." Tang Yanren rolled her eyes. "Why don't you say it yourself? I am a soft-hearted person and will not reject others. Please." Soon after, students returned to the car one after another. The school leader checked the number of people and made sure that everyone was there before asking the driver to set off. Lin Yu also returned to the seat next to Yang Dabao. "Brother, today is so exciting. Even the skeleton warriors can't cut through my muddy armor." Lin Yu said with a smile, "Okay. Congratulations. I have a soul ring of an undead knight that is more than 3,000 years old and nearly 4,000 years old. Do you want it? The soul skill should be charging type." When Yang Dabao heard Lin Yu say this, he immediately became excited. "Yes. Brother, you are my reborn parents. It is just right to be my third soul ring after more than 3,000 years. No, you also met the undead knight." "Yes. Haven't you met?" "No. 3,000 years undead knight, how did you defeat him? When Yang Dabao shouted, everyone in the carriage looked over, and Lin Yu could only say modestly, Teacher Tang is directing from the side, and the three of us will defeat it together. Lin Yu said this, and others thought it should be the same. Otherwise, how could they, who had only mastered one soul skill, defeat the undead knight for 3,000 years? Several other teachers also looked at Tang Yanren. Tang Yanren admitted the matter and told about meeting the undead knight in the mine. The grade dean nodded. No one has explored that mine for many years, and I didn't expect it to breed undead knights. This matter will be included in the school's information later, so students should not be allowed to go there in the future. Half an hour later, the car arrived at the city gate. The security guard at the gate got on the car and made sure there were no problems, then opened the anti-collision guardrail and let them drive back to the capital. The bus returned to school, everyone got off the bus, and Lin Yu left the school directly to go home. Tang Yanren asked Lin Xiaotao to come to her office. Lin Xiaotao was a little confused, so she followed Tang Yanren to her office. Teacher Tang, what do you want from me? Tang Yanren pointed to the bench aside. Xiaodao, sit down. That's it. Classmate Lin Yu asked me to tell you that his help to you is a kind of friendship between classmates. I hope you don't have any psychological burden. Hearing Tang Yanren say this, Lin Xiaotao was a little disappointed. Okay. I thought he was interested in me. I'm so happy for nothing. Tang Yanren also smiled and said, you are still young, and girls mature earlier than boys. It is normal for him to have no idea about men and women at this age. Lin Xiaotao also smiled. Okay. Teacher Tang, Lin Yu is really excellent. Honestly, I do have a crush on him. It seems that we are destined to be together. Tang Yanren was happy. If you go to the same university, you may still have a chance in the future, but I don't necessarily know. Lin Xiaotao shook his head. Lin Yu is so good, he will definitely go to the Vatican Academy in Wuhun City, but I don't have the qualifications. The two chatted casually for a few words. Tang Yanren finally solved the misunderstanding between the two, and Lin Xiaotao got up and left the school. On the way, Lin Xiaotao checked the storage bag Lin Yu gave her. There was a soul ring collector in it, as well as several boxes of fruits and vegetables, and some unprocessed meat. She was quite happy. When Lin Yu returned home, Chen Wenwen was already at home, and Chen Jing was still cooking. Xiao Yu is back. Please take a rest first. Dinner will be ready soon. Don't be in a hurry, Aunt. I'm going to take a shower first. After drilling in the mine all afternoon, he longed to take a bath, so he went to take a quick bath first. When he came out, dinner was ready, and the three of them sat down to eat. Brother, tell us about today's adventure. After a month, Chen Wenwen also changed her view of him and took the initiative to call him brother. Today the school took us to an abandoned town in the north of the city. The main purpose was to explore the abandoned town. In fact, it was to let the skeleton soldiers in the city practice for the students. Lin Yu told the general story, and Chen Wenwen was full of yearning. I don't know if I can successfully awaken. What kind of martial spirit will it be? When Lin Yu heard Chen Wenwen say this, he became curious and glanced at Chen Wenwen with his golden eyes. He had never used this ability since he was discovered by Tang Yanren last time. Name, Chen Wenwen. Age, 15. Wuhun. Xuaniao. Soul power, none. Soul skill, none. Good guy, it turned out to be a black bird. As for the lack of soul power, it was normal after all, he had not yet reached the age of awakening. Such a high-quality martial soul would most likely be innately full of soul power. Wenwen, you will definitely be able to awaken your martial soul, and maybe you will have full soul power innately. Come to think of it, Wenwen, do you want to practice in advance? I have the basic cultivation methods taught in the school, and I also have the cultivation methods that I got by chance. Brother, whichever one is more powerful, I will practice that one. Okay, after dinner, I'll teach you. After dinner, Chen Wenwen couldn't wait to drag Lin Yu to practice. Lin Yu had to go back to the room, take out a map of human meridians and acupuncture points issued by the school, and then mark the meridians that the holy art of heaven and earth should run one by one. Wenwen, do you remember? There are only 20 acupuncture points, easy to control. Okay, then I'll help you introduce the qi into your body. Then Lin Yu sat behind Lin Wenwen, put his hands on her back, and used his own internal strength to help her draw qi into her body. Chen Jing on the side looked at Lin Yu, whose clothes were soaked with sweat, and lamented that the shower before the meal was in vain. Got it. An hour later, Chen Wenwen was able to activate the true energy in her body independently, and Lin Yu was sweating profusely and ran to take another shower. Xiao Yu, it's better not to do this again. Auntie is right. An hour later, Chen Wenwen also took a bath, returned to the master bedroom and lay on her single bed, humming an unknown pop song. Wenwen, don't tell anyone about your brother teaching you how to practice kung fu in the future. Oh, okay, it's up to you. On the other side, Lin Yu used growth of all things on the ghost mushroom. At this time, the ghost mushroom was almost transparent, and then he used golden eyes of destruction on the ghost mushroom. The ghost mushroom is an immortal product with a lifespan of 13,215. After taking it, it has the effect of changing tendons and cutting marrow, and will cause some martial spirits to evolve. They have reached the immortal grade. After nearly a month of cultivation, it is only more than 10,000 years. It will take nearly a year to cultivate them. Anyway, I am not in a hurry. I will go back and customize a box for them, a foam box. A bit unworthy of them. Put the black plastic bag over them again, and then check today's harvest. Dozens of soul rings. Take out one of the 1,000-year-old skeleton mage's soul rings and put it aside alone. Leave this one for Chen Wenwen. This is the fireball technique. The soul ring is suitable for her blackbird martial soul. The rest will be dealt with later. It's time to give my aunt a top-quality soul ring. Then he took out the two most important gains of the day, a ring with a skull pattern and a right leg bone. Yes, it was the right leg bone. Ring of the Skeleton Prince. Contains storage space and can open the portal to the world of the dead. Locked. The ring worn by Prince Blecker, the second son of King Leoric, was once the ring of light, but fell with the death of the prince. Close tortoise shell bracket. Is this the legendary orange quality artifact? Lin Yu looked at the ring. The space was very large and the end could not be seen at a glance. There was nothing inside except piles of gold coins. Lin Yu took out the gold coin and took a look. Soul gold coin, the universal currency of a special region. He put away the gold coin, put the ring on the middle finger of his left hand, and then picked up the soul bone of his right leg. The right leg bone of the 50,000-year-old skeleton knight leader. Soul skill, summon a skeletal war horse. Summon a skeletal war horse. As a former knight leader, the war horse has been wandering in the underworld since its death. As long as it is called by the master, it will return to the master from the underworld and continue to fight for the master. Lin Yu added it to 100,000 years later and took another look at the right leg bone of the 100,000-year-old skeleton king. His soul skills were, summon the ghost warhorse and summon the king's knights. By 100,000 years, the skeleton knight commander had directly turned into the skeleton king, and the skeletal warhorse had become a ghost warhorse. In fact, the form had changed, but its function was still a mount. Summon the knights of the king. The knights of the king during his lifetime will always guard the king after their death. Once the king calls, they will come out from the land of 9 netherworlds and continue to fight for the king. The initial number of members of the king's knights is 100. Every time the soul bones increase by 100,000 years, the number of summons increases by 100, with an upper limit of 1,000. The level of the members of the knights is 1 level lower than the user's strength. Against the sky, Lin Yu could only say that it was against the sky. He immediately jumped out of the window, took advantage of the night to come to the river, and summoned the ghost war horse. A portal opened next to him, and a blue ghost horse wearing silver armor came to him and knelt on the ground. The part outside the armor was in the shape of blue energy, and the horse's eyes were radiating blue, colored light. Lin Yu sat on the horse, and the horse stood up. As soon as he thought, the horse slowly walked towards the river, walking directly on the water, and there was no trace of treading on the water. Then when he thought, the horse was just like going up the stairs, I walked up to the sky. Oh my God, this is the best soul bone he has encountered so far, but it is a pity that it is not the natal soul bone. He does not want to replace the natal soul bone easily. Since it is called natal soul bone, it is exclusive. Exclusive must have effects that are not available in others. It should have a set effect. The two most important soul skills seem to be popular, but in fact they are completely useless to me. He did not dare to try to summon the knights easily. After all, this was in the city. He did not want to cause trouble. Then he rode a horse and flew back to his room. Who should he give such an awesome right leg bone to? The person who is sent will want it in the future. If she wasn't my wife, she would definitely be at a loss. To be honest, this thing really matches Lin Xiaotao's coiling dragon spear martial spirit. But I am not very interested in that baby face. The face is indeed beautiful, and the figure is hard to describe. I feel that the living conditions are tight and the body is not developing normally. After this month, the accumulated free points are more than 2 million. He points the second soul ring of the second martial soul to the golden million years. No new soul skills have appeared, and the Duluo World Tianmang Ice Silkworm, the 4 soul skills mentioned in the million year soul ring do not match. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.